Hello there. How are you all doing? First stream in a few months, so I've struggled a bit to get this one set up properly. So using the chat. Yo, okay, one person good. I'm assuming you can hear me okay. Nedzo's there. Good. Hello, Nedzo. Right, yeah. I did a test recording and I had the wrong microphone on and it would have just annihilated your ears. So, God, I got that fixed. I'm using my old laptop, which I normally only use for live streams and haven't touched for like 3 months. And it looks like the chat's working this time because my last one, the chat didn't show up, and I think I'd somehow cropped it off screen, so it was there, but just been moved outwards. But yeah. Yeah. So this is because we, about a week ago now, I think it was Easter Sunday, hit 50,000 subscribers. So that came about a bit sooner than I was expecting. There's been a definite acceleration since kind of December of last year, and I think my calls to action maybe for subscribers has certainly helped because it was, I think February last year I hit 30,000 subs, and then December last year we hit 40,000, so that's 10 months, and then it's been 4 or 5 months, about 4 months to hit 50. So that's good. We keep that going. I'll be ending the year on about 70,000, but we'll have to see. Let's see what's in the chat. So this is the NFL draft for neurodivergence. Okay, I guess I'll give a very neurodivergent answer that I don't really know the ins and outs of the NFL draft, but yeah. Well done for hitting the milestone, thank you. Hi, I want to know, what is your favourite livery this season? Probably the V-Carb is certainly the one that stands out the most compared to the others. They're very dark. There's a lot of that, a lot of carbon fibre and all of that, but we'll see soon when we get into this with the 90s liveries that there's going to be less of that because they weren't so concerned about weight reduction back then, and a lot more colourful. And when compiling these together, something I did notice was that the back marker teams have no sponsors at all. The midfielder teams have just an avalanche of sponsors, anything they could get, and then the front runners have like one big sponsor, like Marlboro or Canon or Rothmans, and not much else. Can you thank me for giving me just Roger? I can thank you. Yes, I mean I messaged you earlier, but yes, thank you very much for that. That's very kind of you, Zach. Can you try to see Footwork's livery in '94? I have that on here. I'm pretty certain. We'll get going in a second with this. The Cronenberg. Oh yeah, the one-off Cronenberg for Monaco. Yeah, I've got that one. So 99 to 90, yeah, 90 to 99. So yeah, all of the 90s ones. So yeah, we'll switch over to this. So if I press that should switch over if my Stream Deck is working, because that wasn't working last time. There we go. Okay. So we got this. I have a separate folder open that has actual close-up pictures of each of them. So what we have here, yeah, I went through just all the cars and I was trying to find as many individual liveries as I could think of. And there's a lot more than you would expect, because even though back in this time, it was extremely rare that drivers would do like special one-off liveries. The midfield teams in particular, they tended to change liveries like every year and do something different. And come up with some quite inventive, very colourful designs. And then particularly because the first, from 90 to 92, there were so many backmarker teams that kept changing cars constantly and bringing more and more liveries out, that there's a lot to go through. What's the most short-lived F1 team from the 90s? Well, that would be MasterCard Lola, because they failed to qualify for one race and then withdrew from the second one, so they didn't last at all long. I think there might be... There'd be ones that went into the 90s and maybe didn't last very long, but were already there in the 80s, so they would have been there a bit around longer than that. But yeah, MasterCard Loader is one of the... I'm struggling to think of any team, actually, that lasted less than. Well, I mean, there are one-off entries in the 50s and 60s that would have done literally one race, and that would have been it for them. So I don't know. Yeah, in terms of, you want to call like proper teams rather than just one-off privateer entries, then yeah, Mastercard Lola's probably the shortest. So yeah, I've drawn with this. There's over 100 of them. They're arranged alphabetically. I've attempted to give names to each livery based on the color scheme or the sponsors, and so it's going kind of that way. So I think we'll get started, and we're starting strong. If I open up the folder, the first one we have is 7-Up Jordan. So yeah, obviously everyone loves this one. Everyone knows this one. Quite interesting that this, when it comes to drinks as a sponsor, this is one of the few examples at the time of something that wasn't to alcohol. It's just a fizzy drink, 7-Up, and it has so the very nice glossy green with the blue. There are some earlier photos of this car, and it's not glossy. It's more of a like olive green, and it makes it look kind of like something out of World War II. It's kind of that sort of thing. But yeah, everyone remembers and loves this car for a reason. This is how you make an entrance as a team with a car like this. I mean, I'll zoom in a bit, and my camera feed's blocking slightly, but yeah, very very nice. I mean, the car itself, the lines and that prolapsed diffuser and whatnot. Yeah, what 1S? Yeah, of course. Keep give me your verdicts on the tier, because we need those. I think, because I've got this is. I think it goes without saying that this is an S, but yeah, it's very nice. It's very clean. That there's a really kind of minimal number of sponsors, really, and just plenty. And it's not overly jumbled up. We got 7-Up, Fujifilm, Ismaban, Denim, Ford for the engines. I think Shell for the petrol. I can't tell. BP for the petrol. So yeah, a lot of S's. A B, interesting. Congrats on the 50k, very much deserved. Thank you very much. Yes, I'm very glad to have got there eventually, particularly because the channel was struggling so much like 4 months ago. But for the time being, we're in the green, and the channel's doing very well, so I can relax a bit and not feel like I have to be working 24/7 to get videos out quickly at the moment. They use Pepsi in Japan because 7-Up is not known. Yeah, that makes sense. There were some places where they would change it because of that, or some of them, like with because of restrictions on tobacco and alcohol, like Benson and Hedges became Buzzing Hornets in some countries. Like Jordan kept doing that as well. But anyway, yeah, I think we're starting off strong, so we'll put that in the S category. Second livery, a GIP or a Jeep. I can never know, is it a Jeep or a GIP Ferrari? So this is the livery they had from like 92 to 94, 95, roughly. Yeah, this is one of the better ones. There's no horrible HP blue ruining the current one. This is like a classic. Before they had the proper like all red Marlboro, this is the classic Ferrari with the black and the gold rims and the GIP. And is it a GIP or a JIP? It's one of those things like GIF and JIF. I'm never entirely sure what it is exactly. But this is just exactly what it is. Peter, you know what's special about this car? This is the 94 car, if I remember. That's the one, the last V12. No, the 95 was the last one to win with a V12. There is something about the 94 car, but I can't remember what it is. It's the last V12. This, am I getting it? So no. 95 is the last V12 season. This is not. This is either the 93 or the 94 car. Yeah, Berger won in Germany. Yes, he did in 94. But yeah, this is amazing livery. This is the perfect balance of the black and the yellow and the gold. And it's not overly cluttered, and the decals, they sit really well. So I think this one counts as an S. D is last category. What about an F category? I mean, before I'd use only about 5 tiers, and it seemed to work. I thought I'd just leave it leave it at that. Yeah, it's the gold wheels do help a lot with this. So I think I'll throw a second S. What's next? Andrea Moda. It's interesting, really, because the livery itself is just black. But considering what this team was, they did have a lot of sponsors. I mean, by Silverstone onwards, they had lost most of them because they were like, we want nothing to do with this farce of a team. But there's a lot. Maybe they obviously weren't giving a huge amount of money, but they had a lot of sponsors actually, and the car itself. This is not necessarily about car design aesthetics, but that's the thing. The car itself was actually reasonably well built. The problem they had was that their mechanics didn't know what they were doing. Andrea Sassetti clearly got shortchanged with the engines that he bought because he spent a few £100,000 buying those Judd engines, and they just did not work. I mean, Judd engines sucked anyway, but not nearly as much as the ones he got. But it does kind of work. So what are we thinking? High B, low A D, black with a cluster of sponsors, B. What was the best finish for this car? Well, the only finish was the DNF Monaco. So that's that one anomaly that showed that the car seemed to work at like low speed corners was Monaco, because Roberto Moreno, he made it through pre-qualifying and then by the skin of his teeth made it through actual qualifying and qualified 25th or 26th, and then lasted about 10 laps, and then the engine died. Otherwise, they just failed to qualify everywhere else. The plain black is nice, but the sponsors make it a bit too busy. BAB. How many sponsors are in this car? Quite a few. There are quite a lot there. Taylor Sport, Dribbling Goodyear, Tueco, LS, Annabelle, Maze Generators, Urbis, Blue Blocks. Haven't heard of most of these, but yeah. It is kind of a classic because it's such a notorious team, and it's simple. It's very simple but works, but is a bit cluttered at the same time. So maybe a lot of people are saying B, so maybe it's a B. Then we have, so I've called this Arisco Jordan. This, I get confused with the early ones. This looks like the 94 car. Of the title sponsor being Sasol, but we got Pizza Hut, Discover Island, Osama. Okay, I'm not sure what's going on there. There's a lot of sponsors, but the livery itself, we've got this. They've managed to make two different shades of blue work together. A little bit of green, the red at the top for Pizza Hut, and then the white. It's not something you would really see on a modern car, and I don't know how well it would fit. Looks like toothpaste. It does a bit. Yeah, it's always that's the thing. Anything white and turquoise, hence the old Petronas Sauber liveries. They always look. It does look like toothpaste. But there are a lot of different sponsors going on there. Livery is good, but got tainted by Rubens. Yeah, Imola, because this is the one. Yeah, of course, this is the 94 one. But then he did also, because he had the crash there. But then he did also get pole position at Spa, which was quite an achievement for Jordan at the time. Yeah, Pizza Hut sponsoring them. There was, this obviously has nothing to do with Jordan, but there's that famous advert with Damon Hill and Murray Walker doing a Pizza Hut ad in like 96 or something, which was quite funny. Squishy, thank you very much. Three Australian dollars. Thank you, Squishy. So what have we got? CBC. Osama Writing Instruments also sponsored Leighton House. Right, okay. Why would you call it... okay, this is before 9/11, but yeah, that was, in hindsight, a bad choice of name for a company. A lot of people are saying C. Maybe, just a kind of C. It is very sort of toothpastey, that one. Okay, Autobacks Brabham. Brabham was a nightmare to try and do because in 3 years, they went through an avalanche of liveries and just kept changing stuff all the time. This is the 1990 car, I think, but that being said, they had 10 trillion cars in the space of 3 years because they kept changing engine supplier and a new spec of car, and a lot of them were this white and blue and grey, and then they just come out with this bright pink thing right at the end. But this, so we got this, this navy blue alternating with the white, and then we got the kind of maroon on the inside of the end plates, and then the orange for the auto backs on the wing. It doesn't seem to work so well, but what we're seeing, CD looks like a car from the 70s. Rare to see orange. D awful. B Osama means lion in Arabic. Okay, yeah, that makes more sense. What was the best finish for Brabham? Well, if you mean across their whole history, it would have been first times by a lot, 50 or 6. I don't know how many wins they got, but from the 90s onwards, there were. I don't think they got any podiums, but there were some points finishes. But they were they'd after Bernie Ecclestone sold the team, they sat out in 1998. They came back. They had new owners. Those new owners, because it's the late 80s, early 90s, they have to be corrupt and doing illegal stuff. So then they collapse, and then they go into someone else, and then the money runs out, and they disappear. Orange Contrast goes hard, and Autobax is based. Love Super GT. Yeah, Autobax is no ARTA. That's Aguri Suzuki's team, not Autobax. The oval air intake reminds me of the Williams FW13. Yeah, it is kind of like it's similar to that one. So Orange Contrast. Ecclestone was the one holding Brabham from collapsing. Yeah, well, they were good under his leadership because it was, well, the peak of their powers was late 70s to mid 80s, and then it just fell apart, and they experimented with different engine designs and aerodynamics that didn't work, and yeah. But this, as a livery, it could be worse, but it's a bit, there's a lot going on, and then the sponsors, because they got the orange on there, but then you've got this little orange strip on the front of the nose as well. It's not brilliant, but I'm seeing CB. Squishy, thank you, 449. Thank you again. It's very generous. So let's think about this. Yeah. I'm not a fan. I don't think. I'll put this in C. Who's next? Another Jordan, Barkley Jordan. What year is this? I think this is 95. But they've got Sasol again as the main sponsor. This is not bad. I like the blue, the red highlights, the turquoise nose cone is interesting, and the white with the Barclays. That Barclay logo looks quite old. It looks like something from the 70s or whatever. It's the year before, is it? Yeah, that's Marco Apicella. I looked at the helmet and I was thinking Eddie Irvine. I was like, no, that's not Eddie. But this other one, for the most part, this is not bad, actually. Even though it is a bit cluttered and there is quite a lot going on. They didn't see, well, if nothing else, they certainly didn't struggle with sponsors, even if they only gave a little bit away. Smaller side, actually, I do wonder how sponsorship even really works in motorsport, particularly lower level, when it goes to like karting and junior formula. They're so desperate to get sponsors, and obviously the basic concept with sponsorship is that you pay them to put it on your car, and then you would effectively earn back that revenue in exposure and getting interest in your business or whatever it is. But like outside of Formula One, motorsport doesn't get a huge amount of coverage, especially junior formula stuff, and definitely not karting because it doesn't really get broadcast on television. And it's like, how much attention are they getting, especially when it's a backmarker team you don't see much of. And often, with this as a car, you would notice Sasol and Barclays, but you get teams that like to put tiny little ones right down on the bottom of the car's floor, and those are ones that you just wouldn't see. And it's like, how does that work in terms of getting the exposure that you assume they need? Unless it's more that that's not really the case, and it's more that they're just being generous. Or maybe their clientele are so wealthy that it's not really intended for just the average person watching on TV. I don't know. It's an interesting one. Because these days, in the days of social media, you can understand how the PR stuff works better, because we see drivers like the Piastri has is it the phone cases or the something, that's one of his sponsors, and he does the ads for them. and the others they have things they do on the side. And it's like, well, because of social media, that does get a lot of exposure, so you can kind of understand it. But go back this time, that's not how it worked. Quad lock, yeah, that's what it is. That's his one. Yeah, but yeah, it clearly works. It doesn't, in my mind, it's like it doesn't seem like a very effective way of doing it, but whatever. Looking at this, I don't mind this actually, but we had another Jordan one quite recently, and I think it's a similar. I might put that in B. Squishy, how is the channel going so far? Better, yeah. I mean, we had obviously it was difficult from a lot of last year, and then by November, December, it got quite perilous. And I thought, if this does not improve, I may have to stop doing this. And then I waited very patiently for the winter break to end, which felt very long. But the videos I've done have all worked, and because Formula One is back, that's generated a lot more interest in general, and the algorithm has been a lot friendlier. So for the time being, the channel is going well. It's where I want it to be. But I'm not going to get complacent, because it was around this time last year that the decline happened. But what I seem to have learnt is that uploading long videos less often seems to work, and that's what that seems to be how the algorithm goes with me. So I think now that I know that's what's going to work, I'm happy to do that, because last year, in hindsight, it was a mistake that I remade videos like the Ground Effect one and Midland and Spiker and stuff just quickly, because I need to get something out because channel's doing badly, and that just didn't help because they were short videos, and I think it knew they were re-uploads. So yeah, I'm extremely pleased with because someone's asked about the circuit video. That one did pay off, because I honestly did not know, because that's one of the biggest ones I've done in a long time, 2.5 hours. It's got nearly 200,000 views, so an average view time of about 40 minutes. So that one has done very well, which I'm very relieved about. And I think it's some of my best work as well. Math427, welcome to HRT. Thank you for becoming a member. Yes, there's another thing as well as the Patreon. If you want, early access to audio, you can join the member as well. Become a member as well and get custom emojis. And I post updates in advance just for members about what videos are coming next and stuff like that. Do you think of continuing the Haas chronology sometime? Eventually I will, but not for the moment, because those videos don't really do that well. So unless I found a way of completely revitalizing it from 20, because the next part is part 5, which is 2020 onwards. The early videos I did of going to excruciating detail of every overtake and every pit stop don't do so well now. So that one is definitely on the back burner. Do you think Piastri will win the championship this year? As it's going, yes, I think it's fairly... But we've still got, 20 races to go for Lando to catch up, and possibly even Max. Anyway, next car. Benson and Hedges Jordan. Ignore the fact that it says Buzzin' Hornets. But yeah, so this... another Jordan. There's a lot of Jordans early on. They seem to like their A and B sponsors. Yeah, this is a fan favourite for good reason. I mean, it's the fact that it's not even like... I don't know if Benson and Hedges, their colours are yellow and black, but they decided to do that, and then they put the snake on the front on the nose cone as well, and you could tell they kind of had a good sense of humour, because, like I said, I'm assuming that this looks like Silverstone, and obviously they've called, I guess for whatever reason back at the time, they weren't allowed to advertise tobacco, so it's called Buzzin' Hornets, and they had other names they would come up with in places where there were restrictions. But everyone's bitten and hisses, yeah. Everyone's saying S, and yeah, it's an obvious S. We just need. I mean, these days, like, I'm not even that picky about what I want from a modern livery. It just needs to be a brightly coloured. I don't need any more grey or silver or black or navy blue. I just want something that is bright and bold. And McLaren and VCarb are basically the only ones that do that at the moment on the current grid. What's next? Oh, another Jordan. Beta Jordan. Okay, this is the 95 car, because that's the Peugeot engines. Is that Eddie Irvine's helmet? Would be about right. So yeah, this one they've changed it. It's the same basic color scheme, but they've changed it up. So we've still got that toothpaste turquoise with the navy blue, and then there's the red and the white, and then red on the front wing with yellow strip on it, and then there's a bunch of yellow actually at the top of the tub in front of the cockpit as well. It's like the worst version of Jordan. CC, great mix of colors. C minus. Yeah, it's just there's a lot going on, and these liveries are not. There's a reason they're not really remembered because they're just a bit too complicated and just a hodgepodge. I mean, there's God only knows how many sponsors. I mean, we got Ape, Java, Fujitsu, Beta, Fishburger, Unipart, Mech, something, Peugeot Reporter, Total, Lavolvo. I can't even see. Yeah, there's absolute avalanche. Do you think Peugeot failed? Well, these engines weren't any good, and then the Peugeot engines that Prost had weren't any good. So I don't think it was their destiny to be an F1 engine supplier. It didn't seem to work. Who do you think will finish second in the constructors? If Tsunoda doesn't improve, then it's going to be Mercedes at this rate. They're nice and consistent at the moment. They're doing quite nicely for themselves, whereas Ferrari are up to their usual things of being all over the place. And Red Bull, like, if Max can win the title, that would be like that puts him in the prime seat for GOAT status in that car. But the thing is, he's going to have races that go well, like Jeddah and Suzuka, but then there are going to be races like Bahrain where the car just doesn't work and he's not competitive, and that's what's going to stop him from being able to really keep close to McLaren, because McLaren is, unless you're Lando Norris, everyone seems to realise they're the fastest car and they're going to be competitive at every race. But this, I think it's just another C. There's just too much going on. You can join the other mid-90s Jordans. Next up, Beta Minardi. This is the 93 car. This is the one that where what's-his-face did a somersault at the finish line. Was it Martini and Fittipaldi, I think? There's not much going on, let's be honest. It's just white with a black base around the floor and then black rear wing with the Agips. That's kind of like the Ferrari one. But, you know, they at least understand the colours, because most of the sponsors are black as well, apart from that Mercatone Uno. Not sure what that is. So I can see already that's Barbazza in the car. Magneti Morelli, yeah. It's not bad, to be honest. It's kind of simple but effective, but everyone's saying D, C, C. Looks like a BMW GT livery. Yeah, well, black and white, that's always been the BMW Motorsport, although they have the stripes at the nose. I don't mind it, to be honest. Like, this is an example of where white just kind of works really, really well. C or B, high C, low B. I think I might just scrape that into B. Yeah. What's off that? Bitburger Benetton. So the 95 Benetton. I would have called, yeah, there's other mild 7 liveries. So this one's Bitburger because we've got those enormous orange or yellow side pods. But I mean, that seems to fit. I mean, this is a very good image. It shines up well. The mild 7 always looks amazing. It is quite intricate, but again, seems to work. Bitburger comes out of nowhere. I'm looking at it. I'm assuming that Bitburger is some kind of German beer. I don't know, but that would be my first guess. Because Mild 7, that's a Japanese tobacco company. But we got Renault, Kickers, Elf, Benetton Sports System, Brembo. They would have been the brake suppliers. Oracle, of course. Yeah, it's a nice one. It's the Mild 7 just seems to look good no matter what the team, because we all know the Mild 7 Renault livery from the mid 2000s and that. So what I'm saying, S B A or B A B B A B A. A lot of A's. Yeah, maybe not. I do like it. Maybe it's not quite an S, but I think we could throw that in A. Um, okay, black and silver Coloni. So this is the this is from 1991. It's the Coloni. I think it's the C4. So it's the last one that they made. This is the one that was bought by Andrea Moda and they used for South Africa, and it was rebadged as the Andrea Moda C4B, and I think they had a new engine. But it's like a bad imitation of the West McLaren livery, but without the sponsors. Because I'm looking like there's an extremely faded Action. I think Action Motorsport something, but it's really faded. So I don't know what's happened there. I'm not even sure who's driving. Who did they have? There was that Pedro Chavez, I think, drove for them in '93, and then he quit. And then there was a Japanese guy who came in for a few races. The driver numbers are like crayon. Yeah, 54 there and there. It looks like it's been like well, the whole car looks spray painted, which is kind of cool. But yeah, it is like a bad West McLaren. Naoki Hattori. Yeah, thank you, Ned. So I thought you'd know that's depressing. That's all they had. But yeah, it looks like West McLaren without any sponsors at all. Someone's put looks like a bad testing livery. Yeah, West McLaren. What was the best finish for this team? I don't think. Well, Coloni, across their whole history, they did start some races in the late 80s. By this point, they were firmly stuck in the failing to qualify category. McLaren made in China. Knockoff, yeah, Temu McLaren, or Temu, however you say it. If you don't look at it as a bad McLaren copy, it actually kind of looks all right, I'll be honest. Even though, not being overly cluttered with sponsors gives it a certain, like, purity to it as well. So to me, it actually looks all right, even though it does look cheap. So maybe it should just go in B. That's not it. This order's back wrong, but whatever. That's probably whatever the next car is. Squishy, another $3. Any plans of going to an F1 race in 2025? Yes. So I am going to Silverstone. I can't really justify the price, but then I also can't really justify not going, to be honest, because I haven't been since 2012. And every year I just wish I could go and haven't been able to, but now I can. I was like, no, I have to just do that. So yeah, I'm only going for race day, but I'm going to Silverstone this year. I had considered Imola, but it would have been too expensive and too logistically with the flights and hotels and everything else. So yeah. Next car, black and white Tyrrell. So this is the last one. This is the 1998 Tyrrell. It's kind of hard to find decent pictures of this car, I find. But yeah, this is black and white stripes. Although the nose cone was more like silver. And then PIAA. Can someone remind me what PIAA is? Because I know it's something to do with... It's obviously auto parts, because that was one of the sponsor decals you could always get on like Need for Speed Most Wanted and Need for Speed Underground and that. But yeah, it doesn't look bad, I guess. Just the black and white. Mostly Bs, maybe A. Pakistan International Airlines. I don't think it's that. Yeah. I don't mind it, to be honest. Maybe not quite A, though. B. Okay, whatever that is. I don't know if I've deleted that one by accident or if it's just further down the... Oh, there it is. Right. Okay. Black AGS. So AGS is another confusing one because there was a German AGS, or was it ATS? No, it was ATS. There was ATS in the late 70s, early 80s, and then AGS, which was like Automobile Jean Farenet Sportif, something like the name. I don't remember the name. So French team, they went through a ton of... Again, one of these ones straddling the late 80s, early 90s, where they keep changing cars and sponsors and they keep being bought by mobsters and corrupt businessman and blah blah blah. So for this one, they've ended up with a car which is all black except for a big yellow question mark. Ted Lapidus is sponsoring them. Goodyear FRCom, not much. That's Gabriele Tarquini. I don't know what year this is. I'm guessing 1990. There was a thing, and this is something you noticed. A lot of cars, like the Jordan 1 Nose, has these cables attaching the front wing to the body, and I'm not sure what the function of those was, other than if they were scared the wing was just going to fly off, and it was meant to hold it for stability if it had an aerodynamic function. But yeah, PIAA Japanese auto part supply. Yeah, I thought it was going to be something like that, something to do with yeah. But this is it's just black with a little bit of yellow, so pretty bland. Maybe just a C. I think there's not much to say on that one. Okay, the Black Arrows from 1998. So this one was quite a departure for them, because before this they'd had that Yamaha car, and then they switched to this just all black with Danker, Parmalat, and Zepter. One of those... Is it Parmalat was Pedro Diniz's sponsor that bankrolled him through 6 years of Formula One? But yeah, just all black, very nice, shiny black as well. And then they went, for 99, they had one half was black and the other half was orange. And then for 2000s, we get the orange arrows. So what we're seeing, BSAB, in-house engines based on a Hearts block. Yeah, that was when they started doing, they attempted to make their own engines, and then that didn't work, because they had, well, it was John Barnard was making the engines, but then he was also supplying parts. He was moonlighting and supplying parts to Prost on the side, and Tom Walkinshaw wasn't a fan of that. How long has Parmalat been involved in F1? They were around for a while, quite a long time, because weren't they on... They were on the Brabhams, weren't they? They were on the Brabhams, and PK was there, so they obviously went from sponsoring him to then sponsoring Diniz. Don't ask me what Parmalat is. I don't know what the company is or does. That's something... I mean, I think one day I will do maybe videos on liveries and sponsors, because I don't even know myself, and I want to learn what a lot of these companies are. But what annoys me, there is an absolutely amazing channel called F1 Livery Histories that did videos. They would pick a team, and then they would just do the history of their liveries and how they changed the sponsors. But he hasn't made a video in like 4 or 5 years, but those videos were amazing. But because of him, I kind of can't make my own, because his videos are exactly how I would have made mine. Right, so but apparently dairy products, okay, Supermarket Parmalat, yeah, because they own a... Yeah, I know that it was connected to supermarket. Well, he owns the supermarket chain now, doesn't he, Pedro Diniz, and runs a farm, so that's... Seems like a good one. But yeah, anyway, a lot of people are saying B's and A's, a couple of S's. I think it goes an A, because it's sort of iconic, but not like iconic. Okay, Black Ferrari. So this is winter testing livery, 1998. So that's Schumacher driving. So this is one of the ones they would have done just an all black, just testing at Fiorano. Before the season, and it's like, okay, yeah, so no sponsors, just plain black with gold wheels. It looks like... I like it because it reminds me of the... in Gran Turismo 4, the black model versions you could get of some of the front-running cars, including the Formula Gran Turismo. But otherwise, otherwise it's just black. One person said S, that's interesting. Oh yeah, bye-bye, Koifu. I think so. I said, yeah, thank you for joining. Carbon fiber. Yeah, although I think that is painted, so it's not bare. So it does count. But F310B with 98 track widths and tires. Yeah, maybe it is actually the F310, but to be honest, I can't. When it comes to this era, especially when you don't have the livery for reference, it can be very hard to recognise which cars are which. My Tifosi heart says A, but I know it deserves a C. I think without the gold wheels, it would look horrific. So I think it's just maybe just a C. Because it's not really much of a livery at all. Black Fond Metal. I mean, okay, not all of it is black, but there was several Fond Metals. So again, Fond Metal, another one of these funny ones, from funny teams from the early 90s. This, it does look kind of cheap as a livery. We've got the black, and then we've got the silver mixed with the red, and then the yellow highlights on the end plates. So it's not brilliant. The silver, that shade of silver often just makes cars look quite cheap. That's why I never liked the very first Haas from 2016. MS did ride a Sauber. He did in 1997. He tested the Sauber just to give them some tips because they were a Ferrari customer, so they had connections with them, and he tested them to give them some advice on where to improve the car. Yeah, tin foil looks silver. It looks like a my team livery D tier. Yeah, maybe it is just a D, because also this is a team that it's not exactly remembered very well either. So we might have our first D. It's not an Ozella, it's a Fond Metal. Okay. Black Jeton, or Jetons. Jeton Ligier. So Ligier had this, well, the French teams, they've had this tradition of having the blue or bleu royal in most cases, including, and this was a tradition that started before Formula One began, that we had the French teams were always blue, Italian was red, German was silver, British was green, and then Belgium was yellow, and what few Dutch teams were orange. And so that a lot of French teams kept that tradition. Squishy, another $3, thank you. Imagine the 2025 season being the 2007 season. I see what you mean. Yes, if we end up... Well, again, the other analogy is 1986. If we see the McLarens taking points off one another and Max comes through and wins the title, that's very plausible. You know, it's happened, well, at least twice before. I mean, there are... trying to think of other examples of years where that similar thing happened. But the two obvious ones, are 2007 and 1986. So you never know. Anyway... this is... There's not much to say. I mean, it's the blue with the black. The blue is a kind of cerulean, kind of quite a deep blue. And then there's Gitane Blonde, Elf. Yeah, not too many. I can only see two sponsors. Their title sponsor, and then their fuel supplier. And they seem to get away with that. Gitane, okay. Gitane? Okay, yeah. See, I don't know. I can't French. I can't do. It's just that it feels like the rules just don't exist with that. French out of 10. Yes. What do you think of the F124 game? I played it a little bit because some of you may have seen. It was back in February when I did that content creators race that was live streamed, that was organised by Dan No Skill. So I downloaded F1 2024 to practice for that. Although all I've done of the game was doing time trials at Silverstone in preparation and then doing that race. And I like it because I use a controller, and people accuse it of having very arcadey physics. But for me, the cars handle very nicely, and so it's good enough. But these days, I don't have much time. I do a lot of gaming, but I play like World of Warships and stuff like that. And I just bought the remastered version of Oblivion, so I've been sinking into that for a few days. I don't play the F1 games much because I like to do it properly and do full weekends of 100% race distance, and that takes quite a lot of time. Any F1 Manager, a little bit. I've done each of them. The first two, I played them and I was like, okay, the AI cannot overtake to save their life, so there's no point doing this. But it seemed to be better. Although that being said, I do have F1 Manager 2024. I saved it halfway through the very first race at Bahrain, and I haven't picked it up yet. So maybe I need to at least finish that race and try and give those a proper good go. But I haven't played. I don't play the F1 games very much. Maybe if I buy a steering wheel, if I had one anywhere to keep one or use it, I might do them more. But looking at this, okay. So blue and black, simple but reasonably effective, and it does just feel very 90s. But this is something on a modern car. It would look far too plain. I think if you put this on a 2025 car, maybe just a B. I think it's fine, but it's not reinventing the wheel, I guess. What do you think is the best Ligier livery ever? Basically, all of their liveries have been some variation of blue, so there's not much difference between them. The 96 car had like gold wheels, so that looked quite good. And the teapot one, that was always the white with the blue was quite unique, I suppose. Right, Black Lola. This is a winter testing livery from 1993 for Lola, who at the time, LaRousse, I think, or Scuderia Italia, they were giving cars to one of those ones. And so they did this. So they just did plain black winter testing with weight, something really bad image, and that's it. There's not much else to say on it. And the worst Ligier livery, I can't picture most of them off the top of my head. That's the problem, because they're all just different versions of blue. There's probably one in the 1980s which wasn't brilliant, but yeah. LaRousse Lola, yeah, it was LaRousse. Although it says Alboreto, so BMS. Scuderia Italia, but they... I don't know. But yeah, maybe I should have given it the team name rather than the constructor name. Either way, it's black with black wheels and a little yellow weight on the thing, so there's nothing to say. So I think it goes with the other... I think all the black liveries are just going to end up in C, because there's... Yeah. So, let's think. Next up, Black McLaren. So yeah, McLaren did the same thing. This is the 94 car with the drop nose, I think, although that... No, that's not Mansell's helmet. Or is that Brundle actually driving? So yeah, this is another pre-season winter testing livery for McLaren, and it's just black. But again, it looks like the black edition cars in Gran Turismo 4, which is why I think it looks kind of cool. Alio. Oh, is it Philippe Alio? No, the black McLaren, the white McLaren was the one with the Lamborghini engine, not the black one. That was 1993. Yeah, well, again, so like with the others, it just goes in. C tier has become kind of the black tier at the moment, apart from that Brabham for liveries. Has Peugeot. Yeah, 94 was Peugeot. They did the test of the Lamborghini in 93, and Senna was like, no, this is an amazing engine, but they're like, but it hasn't been that good before. But he was insistent. Him and Hakkinen were both like, this could work. But by that point, they'd already signed the contract to have Peugeot engines, and Senna was off to Williams anyway. What could have been, because if that hadn't happened, for all we know, if they hadn't signed the Peugeot deal already, maybe he would have decided to stay, and that could have changed the future in a multitude of different ways. Okay, Black Sauber. So this is not a testing livery. This is the livery that they had in their first season, 93. Yeah. So this one. So it originally Sauber. They had the engines were branded as Sauber, but it was concept by Mercedes-Benz. But the engines were built by Mercedes. They were Sauber branded, concept by Mercedes, but actually built by Ilmor. Something, yeah. So this car is meant to be all black. It's not a testing livery. Otherwise, I mean, the Liquimoli, those colours are not working well. We just, concept by Mercedes-Benz looks kind of nice. Cosmos, Goodyear, Brembo, Carl Wendlinger, they can see that. But then the bright yellow wing mirrors, fluorescent green. 1993, yeah. Are Sauber the current worst team? Yes, they're obviously still the slowest team. They caught up compared to last year, but they're still slowest. DTM. Yeah, I guess it looks like a DTM car. On the basis that it's all black, but it was meant to be all black rather than and they've done a little bit with it. Maybe it just goes into B because of that. It's not just a one-off, bland testing livery. Okay, Blaupunkt Footwork. So yeah, Footwork. Their early years and early 90s, they kept going through different engines all the time. There was Porsche, Ford, Subaru, Lamborghini was in there. They kept changing engines all the time. But even so, we had this white with the red stripes, and this version, because this the circuit that either looks like Monza or Imola, and they've got the like bow tie little thing. It's not, yeah. The nose is funny. They tried having a single like strut on the nose cone instead of two, or a single keel, is maybe what you call it. So yeah, it's a funny looking nose. Who's the driver? Doesn't give the name. Who was driving? Early 90s. Okay, Derek Warwick was in that car at one point. Stefan Johansson drove for them too. Alex Caffey was in a footwork as well. I think Alboreto might have been. Yeah. Oh God, it's the early 90s is so confusing. So many teams and so many drivers, and they just kept moving around constantly. It was a complete mess. So disorganized compared to modern Formula One. So BB, it's Johansson. Yeah. Mostly saying B's. I think it looks fine, to be honest. It's just, yeah, there's not much to say, but yeah. Oh, that's another B. Blue and red Lola. These are different orders down what I've got here. Okay, blue and red Lola. This is, not Scuderia Italia. LaRousse. This is a LaRousse. This is a LaRousse from 92, I think. Is that Aguri Suzuki driving? Can I see the name? I can't make out the name. 91 LaRousse. Spider-Man looking colours. I guess so, yeah. Dark blue with the red. There's a little bit of green and yellow on the front wing. Adia Interim Toshiba. I'm thinking that's... Oh, it's Eric Comas. Right. My first thought was... I thought Suzuki, but also because Toshiba as a sponsor that it might have been him. BP, yeah, it's not the best image, but otherwise it's like, yeah, just navy blue with a bit of red. It's just okay. CD, couple of people saying that. Yeah, maybe it just goes in C. Yeah. Could someone tell me actually how many people it says are in the chat or watching the stream? Because mine, it's been stuck on 15 since I started this, and on my what I can see, and I know it's more than 15. If it's normally about 50 or 60, I think. 75. Oh, okay, not bad. 80, 81. Okay, that's not bad. Yeah, 75, 80. I'll take that. So after blue, red Lola, next we have blue and white Brabham. So this is what I mean about the Brabham liveries changing all the time. I think that's David Brabham, actually, the helmet. That would make this 1990. But all we have just navy blue with a bit of white. And it sponsors what? Lagostina, Goodyear. I can't read any of the other ones. The BT60, Amati, or actually, yes, maybe that is Amati's helmet. Now that I think about it, Giovanna Amati. So that would although that would make this 92. Actually, no, it is 92. Yes, the nose, because this is the car that they then changed the livery and made it bright pink. But tell you what, and this is what I thought it was. I clicked the image over and I was like, that's like I saw it and thought that's the Williams like FW31 or something. Like it looks like the Williams from late noughties, early 2010s when they had the Phillips livery and the navy blue and the white. It's very, very similar to that. Looks like a BMW livery, yeah. So maybe it only goes in B. It's kind of okay, but it's not the most original. We haven't even got... How many have we done? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. Okay, we're about a fifth of the way through, roughly, and I've been going for almost an hour, so need to pick up the pace. Blue AGS, so the French AGS again. Now they've changed things even more. So navy blue, red and yellow. They go red and yellow with the turquoise on the front. The JH26, yeah, and that's Gabriele Tarquini driving, so I can see that at least. Squishy, another $3. Thank you. I got a theory the FIA sabotaged Red Bull in 24. Okay. Well, there's not much they can do in terms of unless you argue that they brought in technical changes that they knew would screw them over, because they this year, because I know from Spain we've got the rules are on. They're changing the flexi wing rules in Spain, so we wonder what that might do to McLaren, and that's an interesting one because normally we're not told in advance before the season has begun. Oh, we're changing the rules mid-season at this exact point, and not just at the beginning of the season. Last year, no, Red Bull brought their own upgrades that didn't work. And then instead of just getting rid of them, they just didn't. They just kept them and managed to hang on. EFCO, 50,000, I can't read it, 50 Czech crowns. Thank you. I'm not sure how much that is, but thank you anyway. Will you do an iceberg this year? Alonso should have 5 titles. Webb was robbed in 2010. Hans Heyer. I thought Sauber was a continuation of Brabham. Iceberg, yeah, this has been in the back of my mind. I think future icebergs, I'm unlikely to do one that's just a general iceberg, because I end up throwing in topics which often can become a video in their own right. And I'm really struggling to find enough stuff to put in another iceberg. So I think I might do icebergs on things like, I might do ones just for like a backmarker team iceberg, or forgotten title contenders iceberg, that sort of thing, rather than just a general Formula One topic. But we'll have to see, because I've got, at the moment, I've got several things on the go, and each video individually takes quite a long time to do, so yeah. When is registration to Indy 500 closed? This weekend, weren't they doing testing or something? I'm not exactly an expert. I don't understand oval racing, and I don't understand why they need 3 weeks of testing for a circuit that has four corners which are all exactly the same. They just don't. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, blue AGS. We had another AGS earlier, didn't we? That was a similar color palette. Where is it? Where is it? Oh, the black AGS. Yeah. Okay. Well, this is better. This is better than that. It actually looks kind of nice, and the car itself is quite a nice design. Just didn't work very well. Okay, we've got that as reference. The black AGS. Maybe it just goes in B. When's the next video? I don't know yet. Well, if there is a red flag in Miami, the next video will be after that. If there is not a red flag after Miami, the next video will be out if there is a red flag in Imola, or whenever I get the one I'm doing the script for finished. So it may take a couple of weeks, and this is something I'm a little bit panicked about this, because it's been over 3 weeks now since I put out my last video, and I was ill for a week and then went home for Easter, and so that has kind of disrupted my my routine and schedule. I'm trying to get that back on track, so that's slowed me down a bit with video production at the moment. Make shorts, yeah, I will. I'm gonna. I think for the circuits video, I'm gonna make shorts out of every circuit and put some of those out every so often. So let's go. What's the next one? Blue Nokia Tyrrell. So this is 95. I'm pretty certain. So their main, mild. They've mixed mild 7 with Nokia. I love the idea of having Nokia as a sponsor. I think that's good. It's a nice shade of blue, little bit of turquoise. There's some red from that Noxin Futures. I've got Club Angle Yamaha with the engines. That's how Kasiyama got his seat, and I think that's Kasiyama behind the wheel as well. Concept by Metal. So they were because they stayed on because they were supplied engines or Metal branded engines to Minardi later on, and they've obviously had some kind of involvement with Tyrrell. The Mild 7, yeah, it is a bit funny seeing it doesn't work at all. Maybe they should have just kept that as the same blue. It would have been uniform with these little white stripes. But I think it looks kind of all right. Greetings from the land of Nokia, Finland. Of course, yeah, Nokia's from Finland, isn't it? And Skype is Estonia as well, isn't it? You always assume these companies are American, but they're come from other places. Oh, actually, it says. Okay, I see a Japanese flag. So yeah, that's Kasiyama. So we've got C, A minus. Yeah, I think it's okay. So maybe just a B. I like the thumbnail of the live stream. Thanks. Yeah, it didn't show up when sometimes when I was my preview before I went live, it was showing blank or whatever. But yeah, I've got it's a very basic thumbnail template I've used for all of the live streams. It's just something easy to get together because I generally suck at making thumbnails, and for the past couple of years I've had someone who makes them for me, and they know what they're doing in terms of graphic design and editing. So I usually leave that to them. But for something like this, I can just do it myself quite easily. Kasiyama or Suzuki? No, it's Kasiyama. He was there. He was with Tyrrell for like 4 years or something when they had Yamaha engines. Another $3 from Squishy. What was worse? The swearing ban or the 2016 quali? Well, the swearing ban is just pathetic and needless. 2016 quali had potential, but then it just wasn't implemented well. And what they didn't realize is that teams will always find loopholes. That meant that we ended up with just nobody out on track. Maybe they should have done it in tandem with making tyres that would last for several laps and allow you to set consecutive quali laps, because that was what they wanted to happen. But if you're going to give them tyres that last 2 laps and they're done, then no one's going to do that. Anyway, Blue Pacific, so the 95 Pacific, their second and final car. Even though it looks older than the other car because it has the dropped nose, it was a much better one. But we've got, so just plain blue, some largely empty white on the side pods. There's that strip of, and then this strip of navy green going through it. But yeah, their main sponsor in the year before was this Ursus. And again, I have no idea what Ursus is. ITS, that looks like we've got one there. Egol. UEST, it's just stuff I'd never heard of any of it. The Lotus stripe looks good, but mixed with the 72 shades of blue makes it a D. Yeah, it's kind of there's two different. We've got the darker, we've got the lighter, and then the darker again. So yeah. Oh, apparently Ursus is a Romanian beer. Okay, because Ursus, that's the Latin for bear, isn't it? That's what bear is, isn't it? Bear is Ursus, like polar bear, isn't it? Ursus polaris, I think. Yeah. But we're not here to talk about animals. I don't mind it, but maybe just a B. There's a lot in B at the moment. After that, we have BP Leighton House. So there's two Leighton House liveries. So this is the one where they got the giant BP over the engine cover. Vodka, apparently. Okay. Or tractors. Okay, so they're either beer, vodka, or tractors is Ursus. So yeah, this one, everyone loves Leighton House, and this is where, Adrian Newey didn't start out with at Leighton House, but it was where he first got everyone's attention. And now these are the ones that people love having. You get the Leighton House phone cover and the t-shirts and the hoodies because it's just a nice bright turquoise. So we got car glass. That looks so much like the auto glass logo. Anyone in the UK will know what Autoglass is. Autoglass repair, Autoglass replace. I wonder if maybe it used to be called Carglass or something. Remember Gavin from Autoglass in the adverts as well. Yeah, it's a great one. Although this one is less good because I'll be honest, the green is not fitting as well on it. It's just not. It's not landing. It looks clunky on the back, on the rear wing, and then because it's black there with that yellow strip as well. Newly designed car first of many. It looks all right. Yeah. I think because of the green, I'll put it in A. Otherwise, it's the green is knocking it down. Is not knocking it down a bit. Braun Tyrrell. This is the 92 Tyrrell, I think. Epson, this was when they went through the 020. There was an A, a B, and a C spec of this car, and they all had different engines. And but this is fine. I think just again it's black and white, but the logo's fitting the Braun PIA again, Calbee, Honda engines, Epson. I think this is one of the Nakajima cars because it's Honda. Essilor, I think it looks okay. It's very simple, but back then people seem to get away with being very simple. So that Modena has a simple, great looking helmet. Okay, so that's Stefano Modena. Again, helmets were so much simpler back then, and because they weren't changing them every race, it made the cars easier to recognise, and admittedly it was also helped by not having the halo impeding your view of the helmets. But these days, a lot of helmets are really hard to recognise on drivers, especially Red Bull, because basically you're limited to the Red Bull logo with your nation's flag on the top, and that's kind of what all you can do with it. But it's okay. I think it's yet another B. Right, Bridgestone footwork. This is winter testing in 1996 when they were testing Bridgestone tyres. Jos Verstappen, because of course it's Jos Verstappen testing, because every team had to have Jos Verstappen test for them at one point in the 90s. I don't know why they felt the need to do an entirely new livery just for this. But it looks like a fake kind of counterfeit Formula One car. A bit. It just looks like, or it's like when they're trying to. It's like when a film or a TV show has just a generic Formula One car in it, but they have to use a fake livery, and you get something like this because, like, red and white is fine, but then we've got this like brownish faux golden strip with the black going across, and I'm not entirely sure why. Which doesn't, and because it doesn't even line up as well. That I don't know what. That's not brilliant. And the wheels are blue. That's a very dark blue on the wheels. I'm just noticing as well. But I'll go. It's all B's. Everyone said, yeah, generic, but good generic. Was this team ever good? Footwork themselves, no, not really. Arrows. If you include arrows, then 87, 88, their car was actually okay, but otherwise they were just midfielders. Those humongous cockpit size made the car look so tiny. Yeah, of course, 96 was the year that we ended up with some really ugly cars because they had they'd mandated side on cockpit protection, and so you ended up with stuff like this. What footwork car was it? It's the 96 one, so that's the FA 18 footwork FA Arrows A23. It's the 16, 17 because they're 1 year ahead. The numbers 1 year out of sync, just like with Sauber. B, yeah. Broker Sauber. So then again, I think this is 94. So it's the all black, but now they've got Broker as their main sponsor with that little bit of pink. Again, don't ask me what Broker is, Still concept by Mercedes-Benz, although I think at this point by their second or third year, they were Sauber Mercedes, and marked the Mercedes official return to Formula One after nearly 40 years. A C, a B. Yeah, it's just black. It's a little bit more interesting than the previous Sauber, but not by much. So I guess it falls into B. How many we got left? Oh Jesus. Okay. I do need to speed up. Cabin Tyrrell. So this is one of the Tyrrell 020s. And we have mostly dark blue with red, the Yamaha BP Calbi, and then this Challenge Spirit on the top. So the 020C, yeah. Was that vendor from Monaco? It looked like Monaco, and that probably was, yeah. I don't know if that was Vendinger or Frentzen in there, but yeah. This one, yeah, it looks good, kind of clean. Yeah, it is actually okay. It seems to balance them. It seems to balance them quite well. Even though it's largely devoid of sponsors. They don't have many. Like Challenge Spirit, Calbi, Yamaha, Club Angle, whatever that says. Can't read it. Who's the Italian? Okay, who's the driver? Italian. Is that Alboreto? It kind of looks like Alboreto. Or Tarquini. Was he... Oh, it's so good. There are too many Italians. Can never... it's De Cesaris. Of course it's De Cesaris. Like, how did he manage... How did he get away with driving for 14 teams? Some of them more than once. And I think he even admitted, yeah, I crash a lot because I have blackouts mid-corner. It's like, great. Well, and they... Yeah. I feel like God, in the 80s, it was like any old sod could get into Formula One. But the livery itself is good. I like it. I think it might just scrape into A. I think. Another one, Calbi Tyrrell. So this, we've gone back to the navy blue, but it's a different type of navy blue of white. This red Calbi, Mastrilindo Elf. I think it's the same car. I think that's the 020 again. Helmet is not... No, Bootson never drove for Tyrrell. Guy I don't know with the helmet. Nippon Shinpan as well. This is not as good. It's just, but again, it's another white with navy blue. See, Meh looks mid. Was Tyrrell ever good in the 90s? No, not really. They had actually around I think 93, 94 they were okay, if I remember. Like, obviously midfield, but after that it was just drifting back further and further back. I mean, the only time Tyrrell were genuinely good was early 70s, really. And they tried the six-wheeler, but otherwise they were just in the midfield for a long time. This is very similar to the last one that was just navy there, so I think it goes B again. Olivier Guillard. Okay, that's who that is, yeah. Okay, Camel Benetton. So this again is a one everyone remembers really well. I mean, Camel had cigarettes. They'd been sponsoring Lotus before this, and then they went to Benetton, and we got the yellow is Camel, but then we got the blue for where the Autopolis is. There's the green. I'm not sure why there's green on the nose, but the B191. This is so that's Nelson Piquet's last ever car. Michael Schumacher's second car. This is when they were a bit behind because they were still using manual gearboxes and they didn't have a lot of the other tech that McLaren and Williams were running. Green is the main colour of Benetton. Yes, of course it is. From the 80s, they were mostly green, weren't they? It's good. It has... The Autopolis gives it a sort of military thing. It's like a Air Force logo type, I think, on it. But it's not, it's good, but it's not the mild 7 Benetton livery. So I think it's an A. Then speaking of camel, we have Camel Lotus. So there's less going on here, and this is, I mean, Lotus always had iconic liveries. This is maybe one of the less famous ones because, well, the cars that they run weren't very good. But again, it's just yellow and blue. And in terms of sponsors, they had Camel, where we got Camel, Epson, Goodyear, their tyre suppliers, Zurich. That's it. Like, it's astonishing, really, that back then you could get away with that if you had to. Like, 3 sponsors, and one of them is your tyre supplier. And that was enough, apparently. But if you compare this to the other Lotus liveries, it's not the John Player Special one. It's not the Gold Leaf one. It's just not as good, really. And there was the early 80s Lotus. What was the sponsor? It was when they had that like red and silver Tissot? Was it Tissot? Or it began with E? Essex. That's it. Yeah, Essex. Yeah, that one's probably their one of their least memorable. But this, yeah, well, it's take it like a less interesting version of the Benetton livery. But I think people are always going to rep it because like, oh, well, Senna drove a camel liveried one. Maybe it should just make it into A. Essex and yeah, so I was right with Tissot, Essex and Tissot. Yeah. Okay, Canon. Yeah, easy S for Canon. Because again, they've got Camel. Yeah, Canon Williams. Everything is just perfectly complemented here. The white Canon with the red. I mean, I like this is the '93 car, so when they had that Sega deal, and we got the feet there. But Elf, the Renault, and the yellow, everything is just like perfectly proportioned with this one. So they're an S. Okay, I called this one Carvick or Sarvik Brabham. So again, another early '90s Brabham livery. That is that looks like Mark Blundell, I think, driving. Yamaha engine. This is going to be 91, I think. But otherwise, we've got whatever Carvick/Sarvik is. Mitsukoshi World Motors. But yeah, we got another navy blue and white, but with a big load of red. And they've got the orange. You can't really see it maybe behind the chat. Orange auto backs on the rear wing with Aoba. The white ruins it. Yeah, it does rather. It doesn't. I don't like the way it goes up onto the tub. If it was just the black, if it was just the navy blue and the red, it might work. But otherwise, it doesn't seem to fit nearly as well. It's the Brundle era. Brundle. Oh, I see what you've done. Brundle Blundell era. Oh, everyone's talking about him a lot on Twitter. I mean, of course, I got involved in this when a bunch of people were like, oh yeah, you're not allowed to judge Lewis because look at your career stats or whatever. Obviously, just taking Wikipedia stats and deciding that's how you decide how a driver's done. Ignoring the fact that most of the cars he drove were garbage, broke down a lot, and also he broke his ankle and couldn't do left foot braking for his whole career. So, yeah. But this livery is not working that well. I think I'll throw it in C. It's a bit too jumbled. Castrol Lotus. So this is either 93 or 94. They in their last 2 years, Lotus were changing liveries constantly. But here this I do quite like. Actually, green and yellow does seem to work. It's 2 shades of yellow, but yeah, Castrol main sponsor, Tommy Hilfiger, Komatsu currently sponsoring Williams, so they were there. 92, okay, Nishibutsu, Swiftband, Shinog, a lot of Japanese sponsors. Hitachi as well on the rear wing. Yeah, it's jumbled, but I like it. It's a very good. I like the shade of green. Castrol always looks good on a car. Any race car, just put Castrol on the side and it immediately improves it. Ford engine, yeah. I think it's all right. The 107B, yeah, these are the ones because there's the 107 A, B, and C, and then the 109, and that was brought in like midway through 1994. I think I'm going to put that in A. I think it's all right. That Club Angle Tyrrell. This I believe is 1994. So all white. The Mile 7 is very nice. I think there. The Red Calbee works reasonably well. Yamaha engines. That is Katayama driving. Fond Metal again on the rear wing. So this is, but it seems like in the 94 and 95 they had they seem to have two different variations. They had this and then there was the blue. But if you come out to the other, because early on we had that white Minardi, and this I think is better than that. The Mild 7 is a very nice touch, I think. A couple of B plus, B minus. I put the other one in B. Maybe it just stays in B. Danka arrows. So this is Damon Hill's arrows from 1997 with the Yamaha engines. So yeah, Danka Zepter, we've seen those before. Pedro Diniz. Doing the red rear wing is an interesting touch. Doesn't harm it too much though, because otherwise it was just the blue and white with a little bit of grey. The white again ruins it. I don't know. I think that works. I think it's the red. The red is perturbing me a bit. This one, it feels iconic because even though the car sucked, but everyone just knows it as Damon Hill's arrows. The silver wheels are good, I think. I think a lot of it is all right, to be honest. Not sure what I put it though. I think maybe that might go into A actually. Hello, Rizal. Thank you for joining. We're about an hour and a half in, but I've still got quite a way to go. So you haven't. There's still quite a lot of them left to do. Doimo Minardi. So this is 96. I know it's 96 because of the side protection on the thing. That's Giovanni Lavaggi driving, I believe. So the 96 Minardi. So we have, okay, white. That is a very, very dark blue. It's not black. And then the green for the Valverde. Johnny Car Wash. Yeah, that's the English translation. So then all these Brums, Bossini, Doimo, and Industrie Mobili, Valverde, Imperio, all these Velia, all these Italian sponsors for Minardi. It's okay. It just doesn't really there's nothing about it that really screams unique. I think without the green, it would be utterly forgettable. But that adds a little bit of, it has a little bit of interest in. So maybe just C. It's not their best, I think. Okay, Elf Ligier. This 1995. I'm going to say it is Martin Brundle. Yeah, this is Brundle. So that was the year that he had to share the seat with Aguri Suzuki. So Ligier, we've gone for the navy blue again. They've got the that's the teapot logo from the 70s. The woman, they brought that back. Elf gold wheels. This is when they had that. They were still, well, they were owned by Briatore at the time, and so they were. Why the car looks basically the same as the Benetton. A little bit of red from kickers. I think it's good. I mean, the car itself looks very sporty. Gold wheels always look amazing. But maybe there's a bit much going because I've got those white stripes. That's okay, but then the yellow for the teapot lady. This random red bit up on the air intake. I'm not sure what the purpose of that is. And again, we've got down the front, and then we've got a little bit of red on the end plates. One person thinks S, fair enough. B plus, C. I I think it's good. It's the gold wheels that make it pop. So I might throw that in A, because B is getting a bit cluttered now. Okay, Epson Tyrrell, another Tyrrell from the early 90s. Blue and white, and hardly any sponsors. Epson PIAA, Nikos something, C, whatever that is. And I don't know whose helmet that is, so don't ask me who's driving. And their funny little split nose keel as well. This really is becoming a recurring theme of navy blue with white. Jean Lacey's Tyrrell. Maybe it is actually. Yeah, it could be 1990. That would sound about right. I think I'll put that in C. Not a fan. Fiat Ferrari. Okay, so we got another Ferrari livery. Yeah, this is where. Okay, this is how. For current Ferrari, this is how you do blue. You put a Fiat logo on, not some giant bright blue HP thing. Yeah, they got that applying it again. It's there are no gold wheels, which is a shame. But we got the black front wing, black rear wing, the yellow for the gip, and again a little bit of black on the underside is just fantastic. So we're saying a couple of S's. Yeah, it's another S. Ferrari. Ferrari very rarely do bad liveries, and be honest, because it's like there are only so many ways you can fuck up the color red. At the end of the day, yeah, it's a good one. Fond Metal Minardi. This is 1998. The Minardi M198. This is a car you see all the time, like the Minardi, historic Minardi days, Imola track days. This is a car that pops up a lot. And so Minardis have a continuing legacy because their cars are cheap and easy to run, that you get people driving them all the time for fun. But yeah, Espantuero, I like this. I mean, it is... my God, it couldn't be more jumbled. I mean, you look at the amount of sponsors and you think, how did they struggle that much? Because we got, Fond Metal with engines, Roses inline something, Beta again, Doimo again, Telecom, RBM, Magneti Marelli Bridgestone for tyres. I can't read a lot of them. That one, because it's on Tuera's helmet, it looks like it's a Kit Kat. I'm guessing that was his own personal sponsors. But then the silver, good shade of blue. The red highlights are maybe a bit funny, but I think that's good overall. Who do you think is the best Minardi driver ever? In terms of as a Minardi driver, well, it's Pierluigi Martini because he scored most of their points and did most of their races. But in terms of just anyone that drove for them, it's Alonso, I'd say. I like this. Yeah, I want to put this one in A, I think. Okay, and this one I've just called Fond Metal, so this is one of their other ones. They've gone for a funny nose, very pointy nose on this too. So this is better than the last Fond Metal. A lot of black, bit of red, bit of silver. Ford engines. What sponsors we got? Scomatuto, Leaseplan, BMS Group, Raybes, Fopaderedrit. Yeah. This is working a lot better. Chiesa, is that probably Chiesa? I can't see the name thing. Kind of looks like a Haas. It does look like a Haas. Again, it does, because of the silver, it gives it that sort of generic F1 car feel. But I'll be honest, this is working. This does actually work. It looks like I don't know if there's there was the JGTC or the Super GT Nissan Fairlady from the mid 2000s that's in Gran Turismo 4, but also is it the final boss for people who played Need for Speed Underground? The final boss in that you have to beat drives a Nissan 350Z, and it has a livery that kind of looks like this. It's like silver, red, and black. It makes me think of that. So this would have popped. It popped then. It would have popped. It would have been very topical like 20 years ago as well. I like it. I think I'll put that in A. It does work, even though it's not fundamentally that different from the one we put in D. Okay. Oh fuck my life. Gauloise Ligier. I don't know what. That's cigarettes, I think, isn't it? But that was one of their partners for years. But yeah, we got again the royal blue with the white, gold again because they're owned by. This is the 96. Yes, the 96 car. So this is Parnis on his way to victory. That's a great shade of blue. Although yellow, we got yellow and gold. The white's good. It all looks good. Yeah, and a little black around the base. Yeah, I like it. Where did we put the other one in A? It was in A. This is a better version of that, but I think this goes in A as well. Yes, he did win that race, Omar, very famously. What's this? Oh yes, oh that is amazing. The Prost. I love this car. It was fucking awful, but yeah, this is how you do it. It's a really deep blue, like with the black. This is such a because they had the Peugeot engines, and this is such a classic Peugeot sport look. As a kid, I always thought, oh, that's a Peugeot car because it had the logo. I was like, it's a Peugeot F1 car. Yeah, I absolutely adore this livery. Like the glossy blue, the red, it's all, and also again, the helmets. Was it Trulli and Alesi? They had like identical helmets, but the PlayStation on it as well. It's just so of its own. It's just perfect. Like so, yeah. I'm putting this in S. Okay. Gitane Blonde Ligier. So this is similar. We had this before, similar one, but this time they've gone for more white. We've got the smoking teapot lady again. Elf, Zenith. Yeah. So it's okay. Well, where did I put the other? I put the other one in B. Yeah, I think I go in B. It's similar, but you see, there's more. They put white on the sideboard instead of black. And then just standard Gitane Ligier. So I think this is the 92 car, which was like, they had one year where their car was exceptionally reliable. But this is not. I mean, this is a different shade of blue. It's more of a glossy, kind of fluorescent blue. Lotto. Would that have been no? Elf is for petrol and oil. Lotto is their sponsor this time. This is very nice. Overall, it's not too overdone. So I think I'll put that one in A. Okay, Gold Jordan. This is 1996 when they sort of they'd taken on Benson. They dropped Sasol, taken on Benson and Hedges. In their first season, they just went with a car which was gold. The car itself, because that was a really bad year for car design because it has that like mini wing on there, and then those weird little ones that were like joined to the rear wing. But yeah, it's just nobody else has really. It's something I can't think of any other examples of cars that are just gold as a color. So we've got A plus SS A. Martin Brundle 96. Yeah, this looks more like Monaco, but yeah, Australia was probably around that after that crash. Is thinking maybe it's actually I don't think he wanted to quit. He basically got lost his seat and no one wanted him, and then because I remember when he said when he first started commentating for the first couple of races, he felt like, what am I doing? I'm supposed to be on the grid with them, not up here. It's not quite the yellow. I'll put that in A. Grey Coloni. So 91, 92, one of those. Don't know which one. Can't remember who's driving. He's got his visor open and he's leaning very far forwards actually as well. But yeah, we got white, really, really horrible shade of grey. and then that blue with Prisma Informatica, I think that says. Magna Bosco Galp. There's nothing else going on there. It's not good at all. That's a D. Highmont Colony. Again, don't ask me who's driving, or is that Moreno with that helmet? The yellow Roberto Moreno maybe. But again, we got black, yellow, blue, and then white. Just yeah. I thought it was Moreno. The yellow was And then we've got Highmont, Magna Bosco again, La Cinque, LPR, Capel. Yeah, I can't read the others really. It's okay, but it's pretty bland. I'll put it in C. Hitachi Lotus. So this, I believe, is the 109, or it's one of the late Lotuses. So we got, again, it's like the Castrol one, but they have made some changes. But we've got green, yellow, and black. Tommy Hilfiger's in there. This is around the time because they were owned. Lawrence Stroll had a big share in Tommy Hilfiger at one point, or he was involved with them probably around this time. Nichibutsu, Komatsu again, Ford, Hitachi, Raymond, Momo. It's very, very similar to the Castrol one, and that one is in A, so I think I'll throw that in A as well. HSBC Stewart. So a team finally got to a team who picked a livery and just stuck with it. Yeah, so this is great. White. I like the tartan editions, obviously, because of the Scottish team. Big fat Ford logo, HSBC with their logo. This is one of the really even if the team itself kind of sucked, this is one of the really memorable liveries from the era. Was Barrichello better than Irvine? Well, he did better than him at Ferrari, certainly. So I'd say so. He was very promising. Well, he'd performed so well up until then that was how he got that seat at Ferrari. And even then, compared to some of the other number 2 drivers we've had later, he was pretty good. Red Bull's roots, yep, of course, this is where it began. Became Jaguar and then Red Bull. Hewlett-Packard, I like this. I think this is just one that everyone really remembers. I might throw it an S, I think. Hype Footwork. What year? 95, I'm thinking. 94, 95. That looks like Christian Fittipaldi's helmet, maybe. But they've got this like jagged thing going on. The Hype, it looks like some kind of like energy drink or like or one of those really sour like bars that you eat. What are they called? We have them in the UK. It's like they're like really sugary. It's like a pink bar, and it's got like sherbet inside it, and they're quite thin, and they're quite sticky and stretchy. They're kind of similar to chewing gum, but you eat it. But it looks like that, like the packaging for that. There's quite a bit going on. A refresher bar, that's it. It's like, it reminds me of a refresher bar. Good shade of blue. I like that blue. The Hype is a bit funny. The red, the jaggedy red, but then you got these like fluorescent greeny yellow color, which is a color I generally hate, popping up all over the place. There might be a bit too much going on, but it stands out like a sore thumb. You'd see that thing a mile off. So I think maybe put that in B. Where am I doing? Jägermeister Eurobrunn. This is 1990, I believe. then they were one of the teams just hanging on from the 80s. Didn't really get anywhere. And they came out with this car when they were sponsored by Jägermeister. There's just a big orange thing. Wham bars were the other ones. Oh, those were, everyone was obsessed with wham bars when I was in like year 7, year 8, 20 years ago now. It just started secondary school. Wham bars, everyone was obsessed with them. Because you could buy them at the tuck shop in our school playground. Okay, yeah, so here, bright orange with black and then slightly golden wheel rims. This doesn't look like a Formula One car, I'll be honest. It looks like an Indy car to me. That does not read as Formula One. And it's a sort of, like, I don't know, vomit-coloured... It's a sort of reddy, orangey thing. It's hard to say. Squishy, another $3. Thank you. You're being very generous today. Who was worse, Latifi or Sargent? Well, Latifi actually got points. He didn't crash as much. He obviously didn't like... He clearly did not like ground effect, but before then he was there or thereabouts. I mean, he had a reasonably decent 2021. But Sargent, it just didn't land, and he would have races where it's like, oh, this is going well, and then he just crashes or runs wide or something, whatever. Yeah, and Sargent had the weaker. Yeah, he did also have a weaker teammate. Like, all things considered, Latifi drove reasonably well, I think, against George. But my God, look how high that there is no cockpit protection there. His shoulders are sticking out. The roll bar is like an inch above his helmet. Like, if that car flips, you're not getting any protection from that. But yeah, I don't know what. It just doesn't look like a Formula One car. It's weird. But it would go maybe just in B. Put it in the middle. It's at least relatively unique. Okay, Kronenborg LaRousse. So this one, and this was mentioned before. This was a one-off livery that they used Monaco, 1994. Kronenborg beer, and they had this sort of checkered thing with the blue on the front wing. So I think it gets props because it's a one-off, like a special one-off, and it looks kind of all right. From the side, I think it does look better, but you can't see the green on the front livery. But I don't mind it. It might go in. It might. Although everyone's saying B. Yeah, I think I'll go with the majority. So put it in B. Lambo. So their official name, Scuderia Modena. On the constructors list, they were called Lambo, but Lamborghini were like, we want nothing to do with this because, yes, we made them the engine, but the car sucks, and we just don't want to do this. This is a team which I did a video on them a few years ago, having never really heard of them. I think this is a team that gets forgotten quite easily, even though they were, like, you think they were around for about half a season during a time when there were lots of crap teams around. But yeah, this was the first attempt at zero side pods, because those side pods, those are very similar to the ones on the W13, aren't they? But the car, there was Nicola Larini and Eric van der Poel with the drivers, and I think it was Imola, like van der Poel came within sight of scoring points, and then petrol ran out right at the end. But they just ran out of money because Lamborghini, they had the Lamborghini V12 and it wasn't very good, and the money ran out. I've forgotten the full details, but they were bought by someone who then just disappeared and ran away and was never seen again. But that being said, I love that's a great shade of blue, and the red and the yellow complements it reasonably well. So I think I'll throw that in A. Launch Jordan / testing Jordan. Okay, that's the Jordan 191, and this is what that's what they launched it with, and that's what they did pre-season testing with. So as you can see, black with the Jordan logo. So it's not that different from the other ones. Did you say dark green or is it black? No, that's black. That's quite clearly black. Compared to the black liveries, this one does seem to work better. The Jordan logo looks kind of cool. It gives it a kind of classy type thing. Jordan 911, yeah, because it says 911 or 911, and then they switched that to 191 for when the season began. Where the other ones are put in C. Maybe I'll throw this one in B because it's one of the better black liveries. Okay, launch Sauber. So again, Sauber did the same thing in '93. They had a launch spec car which is just all black with some yellow. And you can see Wendlinger's the one sat in the car, and there's Peter Sauber on the right. Functionally, not really any different from the actual livery they ran, I suppose. So, where did I put that one? I put that in B. I'll do B for this. Squishy, another $3. Thank you. What if Ricciardo never left Red Bull? If he never left Red Bull, well, he left at just the wrong time. Well, Red Bull would have done better in the constructors' battles over the next few years. How 2021 would have gone, well, I think what would have happened probably is that unless he was put in line and told, no, you're the number 2, I think Lewis would have taken the title in 21. But 22 onwards, let's assume that Ricciardo just doesn't enjoy ground effect, because he clearly didn't when that happened, that he might then fall behind. But yeah, from the constructors' perspective, they would have done far better. But yeah, he left at just the wrong time. Life. Yay. The most discount Ferrari imaginable. Yeah, red and black. But again, like, one of the worst cars ever built. But a lot of sponsors ignore. I mean, it is weird. It looks like a sort of it looks like an anteater or an aardvark, because it's got this really weirdly the dome-shaped engine cover to fit that W12 engine in, and this very narrow, pointy nose cone, and again struts holding everything together so it doesn't fall to pieces. The Ferrari from Wish, Poundland Ferrari, Team of Ferrari. Yeah, that's the thing. Okay, the car is absolutely abominably bad, but the livery, let's be honest, the livery is good, because it's just a cheap knockoff of what Ferrari have done. So I think I'll throw that an A. And again, it's iconic because that team is iconic for all the wrong reasons. I never blame Danny Rick for leaving Red Bull, because it was wrong of him not staying at Renault, Alpine. Yeah, he shouldn't have left Alpine. I mean, that he'd probably still be here if he just stuck it out there with Ocon. What that would have done to Alonso, because then you think, would Alonso have come back, and would he have attempted round 3 at McLaren if he'd come back? Of course, these days he'd be, probably on course to win the championship, but back then I don't know if he would have wanted to try that. Yeah, Ricciardo's had a lot of downstream effects with his own errors. Okay, this is Loctite Lotus, so this another late Lotus. And, oh my god, there is a lot going on here. Again, Loctite Zexel, another classic Nissan Skyline JGTC livery, Gran Turismo, all of that. Okay, so we got mostly white. Then the yellow and green is the Lotus colours. The red Lotus, Tommy Hilfiger, more yellow. Then this sort of very, very pale bluey grey down here, and then the dark green. The Lotus, the 107C, yep, 94. I thought bright pink helmet again. This team went through like 10,000 drivers in their last 3 years, and it's all those. There was this like cabal of like French and Belgian drivers that are all functionally the same in my head, that were around the early 90s, of like Eric Bernard and Eric Comas and Olivier Griard and a bunch of others, and I'm just like, you're all just the same. Like, it doesn't go in my head. But yeah, bright pink helmet, says Sega on there. Shionogi, I like it, to be honest. There is a lot going on. I mean, the Japanese writing is it doesn't necessarily add loads of. Wait a minute, is that meant to say Lotus? Or it's like a start, because the way it ends, I'm wondering if that's cool. But yeah, there's a lot going on, but I like it. I think that's an A. Squishy, in race pace, who'd win, 2013 Vettel or 2023 Max? Max, I think. I mean, Vettel was... Well, they were both good, to be honest, obviously. With Vettel, it's... Well, for one half of the season, the car was, like, just about better than, like, Ferrari, Mercedes, that lot. And then they changed the tyre compounds, and it was miles ahead. But whereas with Max, they were obviously fastest at every race except Singapore. So I think Max, probably. Shinpopon S translated. Right. Ain't this Pedro Lamy? Could be Pedro again. Early 90s helmets are not my strength, especially for midfield drivers. Yeah, good livery. Okay, Lucchini Dallara. So this is a Scuderia Italia, so another red car. Yeah, this is good. Red, white, great combo. Black front and rear wings. But then we've got this blue on the end plate for Jump de Menon, whatever that is. I love that Sega Mega Drive. That's the vintage that we need. Like more. We need more teams being sponsored by like games consoles and games companies because it really dates them and that. That's what I want to see more of. God knows what's going on with the radiator right there at the back. But then the rear wing, I can't tell if that's white. Maybe it's because it's in shadow, if that's meant to be white. But, okay, aside from that blue on the end plate, everything else is really good. Because it's taking the Ferrari formula. Ferrari as Nintendo. Yeah, if Ferrari is Sony, then Scuderia Italia is Nintendo. That's an A, I think. Lucchini Lola. This is... I think that's another Scuderia Italia. Or it was one of their Larousses. Who was the driver? I think that's Michele Alboreto, looks like. But they've got... This is the sort of fiery thing, because we've got the red and white with the yellow zigzag. Very cartoon-style livery. It is, yeah, it does look like something out of a cartoon. It looks like... if anyone here has watched early Simpsons, when they made the soapbox racers, and Bart made that Bart made that wooden one, but then Martin Prince made the honor roller, which you can drive in The Simpsons Road Rage and The Simpsons Hit and Run, and then Nelson had that one that had Boadiceas in the wheels that destroyed them, and I think it had a paint job similar to that, or it looks like something you'd see in Dragon Ball Scuderia, or like something that you see in like Wacky Races or whatever. I can't remember the name of the Simpsons episode. It's in season 2 or season 3, but it's the one with the soapbox race and the honor roller. Maybe shows my age that I remember Simpsons from that early on. But this is cartoony, but kind of cool. Maybe it should be a slightly darker shade of red. But it may be only... I remember it may only go B. I don't know. No, A. Just about gets into A. Okay. What's going on there? Let's try that again. What on earth was that? If it's going to keep doing that, this is going to be an interesting second half of the stream. Where are we? Lucchini Minardi. Okay. Right. 94 Minardi. Beta again. Lucchini, high performance steel. Orange for the Beta and the Valverde. This is one of their better cars, though. I think that's the M193B. But I like it. Squishy, what was the worst Red Bull? the 2015 one was not competitive, but well, the worst one ever was probably the RB2 from 2006. That was like lower midfield. Yeah. And also had no input from. Well, they had a Ferrari engine on it. This was newly adjoined, but had no input in the car. This is so someone said a D, bang average livery. It is a bit, yeah. It's bold and it stands out, but it is a bit messy, I suppose. It could just go in B, I think. Okay, Marlboro Ferrari. Yeah, we've seen this one before from later years. They had this from 97 onwards until 2006 or something. They had just big bright red. This is just Schumacher. This and the yellow, like the silver spoked wheels as well. All really good. And the Shell livery, the Marlboro cigarettes fitting perfectly there. This is, Telecom Italia, that's a future. That's looks like it's been added afterwards. I don't remember that being on there at the time, but yeah. That goes an S. Marlboro McLaren. Again, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And they had this livery for 20 years or more. Something like that. They had the very first. They started out with papaya, and then when they had I can't picture it now. It was the livery and it was cigarettes again. It was before Marlboro, and it was like orange. It was when Jodie Scheckter was there. I can't. My mind's gone blank. But yeah, they had that before, and then they had Marlboro, and then West, and then Vodafone, and then all the other palaver they've had after it. Marlboro McLaren was fine until the high. I can't see the side, but I think that says high nose showed up. Yeah, the 95 car was bad. The 96 car, by then, it seemed like this livery had kind of outgrown that style. But for 90s, it worked, just perfectly. So it's obviously an S. God, why can't I remember what that Marlboro, the first Marlboro sponsors, first McLaren sponsors, it will come to me. I just don't remember. When Teddy Meyer was there. Right, MasterCard Lola. Again, this is another livery which was remember. Yardley, thank you. Yep, Yardley cigarettes. So this is another livery remembered for all the wrong reasons. I like it in the sense that it's obviously meant to match the MasterCard logo, which I think is great. In the same way that the orange arrows is great because it matches Orange, the company. But it does look kind of cheap at the same time and kind of awful. That's a really horrible shade of orange on the side pod, and their sponsors, MasterCard, Pennzoil, Track and Field, something else, Lycra, Men's Health. It's iconic, but not. It is kind of awful at the same time. So it might be a C. Next up is Mild 7 Minardi. This is 1997 when they'd taken on Mild 7 Tobacco. So they've got that on the top, and then we've got the Doimos carried on, the white, and then that interesting yellow. And this is okay, actually. The colours are quite uniform across it. I love the glowing brakes. That's Yano Trillian Yuki Kata Ukyo Katayama. Yeah. And Marquez was in there. Marquez was Trulli's replacement when Trulli went to Prost. Yeah. But I think it's not. I think it's quite good. It's the yellow base is quite a nice touch and makes it. Otherwise, it would just be it's another black and white car. I think I'll put it in A, and also it's a Minardi. So, that's A. Yeah, A minus. Yeah. Okay. Mild 7 Tyrrell. So this is 1996. Again, we got the race cock protection. You can see maybe they're struggling with sponsors at this point because it's just white and there's Mild 7, Korean Air, Yamaha L, Fon Metal, Goodyear for tyres. A couple of other tiny little things, but there's a lot more they could have done here. But at the same time, white and black together do just kind of work. But yeah, again, Mild 7 saved it. Yeah, I think that's okay. That fits nicely around the cockpit. It does look good. I think the issue is that it kind of shows off the lack of sponsors because there's nothing on the engine cover, nothing on the side pods, nothing on the nose cone. And you really think there needs to be something on the side pod. Jesus, those tire walls. Yeah, we didn't have Tepro barriers, so it's only one layer of tires and then concrete. That's really not going to give you much protection at high speed, is it? Where would I put this, though? Maybe just B. It's not quite an A, I don't think. Monteverdi Onyx. So this is... The 89 is the livery, everyone remembers. This is the 1990 livery when they changed that pink or purple for green. So we end up with this blue, white, and then the green highlights. Onyx, this is the one that they were owned or sponsored by, was it Jean-Claude Van Rossum, that weird nutty guy that set fire to his own Porsche. Yeah, it's good. It's just not as good as the other Onyx livery. It's just the green is quite, we haven't seen a shade of green like that in, not even the Sauber looks like that to this year. And that makes it seem a bit funny. And also we can see, I mean, it's the wrong angle, but there aren't that many sponsors either of the Marlboro. So I might just go in the middle. I think maybe actually a C. Still got a fair few to go. Right. MTV Simtech. Again, this is one of the really vintage ones. I mean, there is nothing more 90s than being sponsored by MTV. And to have that really deep purple, which you kind of wish was going over the entire car because the side of it is just black. But the purple, and maybe not with the red. I mean, the red, I think here it's forgiven because we've got the red tyres behind it. That it blends in. But otherwise, it's just so cool to be sponsored by MTV and have that. It's such a 90s look. Simtech ruined by Ratzenberger's death. Yeah, that's the thing these days, especially when this picture is of Ratzenberger as well, probably at Imola. That's all anyone can think of now, which is it's unfortunate. But it looks great. I think it's an S because it is just so memorable and it's just so 90s. Next up is the old thumbnail, which is in here for some reason. Navy Red Bull Sauber. So 95, 96, when they took on Red Bull sponsorship. And the first iteration, it was they had this sort of navy blue. So this is when I believe that's Frentzen behind the wheel. This is when we got into this long history of Red Bull liveries that don't change ever. But at the time, it was fresh and it was brand new, and it was, really unapologetically Red Bull. Number 30, 1995. Yeah, on a revamped Imola. Yeah, I suppose so. That looks like Tamburello. Not Tamburello, the other one. Yeah, no, it's Tamburello. Yeah, first corner, now chicane. Yeah, this kind of works because it's like these days, like, oh, Red Bull livery, but it's like, well, actually, this is at the time brand new, big bold Red Bull. Let's put that in A. Navy Rebel Sauber, Nokia Tyrrell. This, I think, is 1995. So yeah, they've got Nokia again. Mild 7. The blue is a lighter blue for Nokia, but then it's still not quite matching the turquoise of Mild 7. But they've got, the sponsors Club Angle and Korean Air back. They're running the Yamaha engines, Fond Metal on the rear wing. This was the transition point when the car it looks quite old because it has this sort of heavy metallic feel, and it's got the drooped nose, and by this point the raised noses were coming in and the cars were taking on a more modern design. It just makes it look kind of ancient. What is Club Angle? I have no idea. Nokia helps the Mild 7 here a lot. Yeah, that's the Nokia is a very nice touch. Fan club to Kurt Angle. Well, at the time it would have been if you're a massive fan of Olympic, like Greco-Roman wrestling or whatever it was he did, because that's his 95. This is before he joined WWE. Mostly good, I think. I'm trying to think what the other Tyrrells have been that we did recently. The other one was in B. I think maybe just B as well. Oracle Benetton, so 1994. Maybe because it's called Oracle, it makes it look like a toothpaste again. And the green, Benetton colours. The Mild 7, blue and turquoise. White, Sanyo, all good. Everyone remembers this car. Squishy, joke. 4 drivers have beaten Lewis in equal machinery. Alonso, Button, Rosberg, and Russell. Yeah. That'll be the 4. I think there's another stat that Lewis, he's never beaten a teammate when they were already champion. He's beaten people that became champions, but never who were already taken a title. Yeah, everyone loves this. Amazing one. Absolute classic. I'm Dr. Gatchi Podgington, and I approve of this live stream. Thank you, Gatchi Podgington. 5 then, add Leclerc to the question. Well, he's beating him. He hasn't beaten him yet. We'll see how the rest of the season goes, but it looks like Leclerc is on course to finish ahead of Lewis in the constructors, or the drivers even. Here's a debate for the Benetton. Did it or did it not have illegal traction control? Part of me wants to say it does, because it was not a very good car, realistically, but made competitive. But then also that's the same thing that of Schumacher, like Max, can just make a crap car work. And also he was fighting Damon Hill for the title instead of Senna. But if it did, and if they discovered 30 years down the line that it did, what do they do? Do they then disqualify Michael and retroactively give the title to Damon Hill? What does that? Yeah. Anyway, it's an S. It's the 94 Benetton. It's the one everyone remembers. Orange, another bloody Fond Metal. Orange Fond Metal. This is going to be like 1991 or 1990. So we got red, navy blue again, and then orange. I'm not even sure what the orange is doing there, because there's just IMI on it. Spal, whatever that is. Sirena, Tardito, Zanini, all these random Italian sponsors. It's not... This doesn't fit well. Once the trophies are handed out, the championship cannot be changed. Yeah, so they couldn't change it. And again, that's something that Felipe Massa's lawyers are going to have to weasel their way out of that one. When it comes to that lawsuit, which is happening just before or just after Sao Paulo later in the year. Olivier Griard. Yeah, there's too much happening here and it's not landing. I might be in D. So, Papaya McLaren. This is 1997 pre-season testing. They did this again in 98. So yeah, they were just... and they've done it like 2005, 2006. They did the same thing. Just an all Papaya but with the West logos. So the thing is, I would say I need to see this, but then we kind of have this already with the current one, but it's not just Papaya. They've thrown a bunch of other stuff on it. It's more of a Google Chrome car than a Papaya. Yeah, it pops and stands out like a mile off. So S for Papaya. Parmalat 40. So Parmalat, this is 95. That'll be Pedro Diniz. That's the supermarket chain, isn't it? That sponsors him. That's Roberto Moreno driving. But yeah, last ever Formula One car to use manual transmission. But we've got, okay, yellow and blue, but then the green wheels. I don't know if that was because they were like, well, this is Team Brazil, so let's just throw on the green because we've got two Brazilian drivers. Yeah, there's well, it's bold, stands out, but it's just a bit odd. Yellow text Parmalat with a blue black background. It is like a sort of, if you had A1 GP in the 90s, this would be Team Brazil sort of thing. They had to fit the tub wider to fit the gear stick in. Yeah, that was again one of the design advantages of having automatic, and also you don't need to create space for 3 pedals unless you're going to run a second brake pedal like McLaren. It's weird. The green wheels, it shouldn't work, but kind of does. At the same time, because it's just so like no one else has done that before. Green wheels. Squishy, do you think the 2 McLarens will crash like Spain 16? I wouldn't rule it out. These cars, they're so massive that I'm surprised drivers don't crash more often. Especially when they get, like, when they're doing corners and they get so close to the front wings hitting the tyres. But in order for them to crash, Lando needs to stop fucking qualifying up. They need to actually be near each other on track. So that would be a good starting point for him. Congrats on 50k, brother. Love the content. Thank you, Crash Monday. Yeah, it's a huge milestone, 50, because I feel like that's sort of the transition from like medium size to sort of big F1 YouTuber. But yeah, I'm desperate. It might still take a long time, but I'm desperate to get to 100,000 because then you get the plaque from YouTube that comes to your house, and I want that. But anyway, what are we going to do with this 40? I like it, but I shouldn't. It's like it hurts so right kind of thing. I like, oh dear. Maybe just B. It's just a bit too much of like vomit color. Okay, Petronas Sauber. Okay, so this is one of the very continuity liveries because they had this from 1997 until 2005. So yeah, Red Bull, deep blue, Petronas oil, turquoise, all good. It's a livery, and the yellow, again, the yellow nose cone for Red Bull. It's a livery everyone remembers. The most midfield team in midfield history. That's just they can't. Sauber. They have one job, which is to just be in the midfield and be invisible, and they can't even do that. And now they're being invisible, but at the very back. Like they just have to just be in the midfield, score points sometimes, and just do absolutely nothing and be completely anonymous and completely unremarkable. But just be the benchmark of this is the midfield. That's their job. And they can't do that anymore. A for this. Pink Brabham, so the one I mentioned about ages ago, because they kept going through 10,000 crappy white and navy blue liveries, and then halfway through 1992 they're like, we're going out of a bang, so let's just make the car pink. Again, cockpit protection, like Damon Hill's shoulders, they're right above the sides. There's a little bit of padding for his head. But yeah, a lot of pink, and then 2 shades of blue, without mild 7. Judd V10, Galley Matrix, Ieyasu, Yamazen, Signs for the Time, Speedbox, Magneti Morelli Key Press, Aid something. BMS Group, I've never heard of most of these, but yeah. IMI Productions. Maybe it's because it's iconic, because like Damon Hill drove it, even though his helmet does not match this at all. Again, it's messy, but kind of good, and I think it's like fair dues to them for actually making the first pink Formula One car. Because like the Force Indias, the BWT, it's pink and white. We need maybe just once we should have a car that's just pink, like a kind of Barbie pink or bubblegum pink, and that's just the car, bright pink. Again, this is messy, but kind of works as well. It's insane. It's insane how exposed he is. Yeah, it is. It just makes you nervous looking at it. Like, things can fall into the cockpit. His shoulders being above the side. The roll bar is high up, so if he flipped over, he'd survive. Yeah. Where would I put this? I think A, because again, it's just iconic that they tried to go out with a bang after nearly 30 years in the sport. Pioneer Ferrari. 1993, 92, 93. And they've gone for this big white stretching all across the engine cover and around the body. But they've still got the black and yellow agip with the rear wing. The Fiat's there. 93, yeah. Again, it works because it's a Ferrari, but the white is, I don't know. So B, some people are saying. I don't think this is quite an S, because when it comes to Ferrari liveries, this is not one. This is one of the more forgotten ones. It looks like a cheap imitation of Ferrari. It looks like a Scuderia Italia, so I hesitated until I saw the Ferrari logo. I was like, are we sure that's a Ferrari? It's not a Lola? White doesn't fit to Ferrari. Maybe this one gets all the way down to B, because it's just not landing. What's your favourite livery of all time? Favourite livery of all time? John Player Special is great. I've never been a fan of Marlboro McLaren, but West McLaren is amazing. Actually, the chrome-coloured Vodafone McLarens are absolutely stunning. Marlboro Ferrari is awesome. 2012 HRT is awesome. Yeah, those ones are all brilliant. Probably the like the 2006 0506 like chrome Vodafone McLaren when they're making that transition. Squishy, whose messed up brain made the idea to ruin Hockenheim? Okay, so the rationale behind Hockenheim was that the forest section, there weren't any grandstands, and that was where most of the overtaking was taking place in the races, but there weren't many grandstands there, so from a visibility perspective, it wasn't brilliant for spectators. It also tended to just be whoever had the most powerful engine would win the races, which is why Williams often did very well there. And so they thought, well, let's bring it down and enclose it a bit more. But then, as a counter to that, because apparently by putting in that new parabolica corner, that was going to then uproot a lot of trees, that they had to then plant the other ones on the old section. But to counter that. But I'm looking at that thinking, okay, well, the part that it's built on, there was stuff there already, and the amount of trees that were uprooted to make the Parabolica is considerably less than the amount that got planted when they tore up the entire forest section. It's such a menial issue at the end of the day. They should have just kept the forest section and just either not use just it doesn't have to use it for Formula One, but just so it's there, so it can be used for other stuff. Yeah. Track invasions. Oh yeah, that happened a few times as well. Because there wasn't any proper fencing. It was just an Armco barrier, so you could get on the track, and very fast, very dangerous. Because what's his face? Jim Clark died there, and so engines like to blow up. I mean, modern engines, I don't think they would enjoy those straights. Right. What's next? Playlife Benetton. So this is 98 or 99. Yeah, I don't know why the Playlife has been both inverted and mirrored, or just inverted, so it looks Russian. But this is, at its core, this is a... Well, the thing is, it's not mild 7. There's no mild 7 on there, but they've kept those colours, and there's a tiny little bit of green for United Colours of Benetton. They've taken Korean Air from Tyrrell. But otherwise, it's good. Like, nice turquoise, but it's just like, what? I don't understand why the Playlife is upside down, because it just looks like Cyrillic now. We've got a little bit of red on the nose. That D2 Hewlett-Packard Decker Bridgestone Infomix. So we've got 99, what's in? Meh B. I like the 2001 Benetton, their final livery. B99 with non-tobacco livery. Maybe is that what that is? Because, okay, well, mild 7 is tobacco. Playlife, is that tobacco? Because we had tobacco branded engines. Tobacco branded, no, Playlife branded engines. Maybe they were, because for years I didn't really give any thought to this. I began to realise like almost every crash was, almost every sponsor was tobacco or alcohol until like 2005 when it got banned. Squishy, what's your scariest crash you've seen? Well, watching live on Formula One, probably Grosjean in 2020, because the car just burst into flames. We never saw Bianchi's crash on screen, on camera. I've watched Indy, a couple of big shunts at Indy, probably Grosjean's though. Who do you prefer, Schumacher or Verstappen? Well, I've watched Verstappen's entire career, whereas I only watched the tail end of Schumacher's. Max is still in his prime, and so it's hard to sort of judge him until he's done. But Schumacher is a driver you can reflect on his career, and of the two, I think even now Schumacher is the more famous one. I think he's had more of an impact on the sport and the direction it's gone. Even if Verstappen's impact has often been for the wrong reasons, because it's been making them introduce rules like no under 18s drivers and rules about weaving in braking zones and apex bollocks and etiquette of overtaking. But yeah, Schumacher just sort of, he was the first like complete racing driver in many ways. Yeah. But anyway, this for the most part is nice. It just looks a bit messed up with the Playlife thing going on. So it might sink into B. PlayStation Prost. So yeah, 98. I think. Well, not one of the two. So similar to the other one, it is a little bit different. But we got this deep blue Peugeot livery PlayStations going on. Gauloises, whatever, the cigarette people. Canal Plus. So yeah, you can see this is the all French. This is the all French team, all French livery going on. It's more or less the same as the other one, so I think it's an S. Gaulois. Okay, that's how you say it. Gaulois. But it's like, why the fuck is there another S in there if it's not Gauloises? Like, doesn't make any sense. Right, Powerhorse Footwork, 1996. yeah, blue, a lot of blue, some red, a little bit of white. Too many sponsors. It does just look cheap. I don't like the way that like Philips car systems. Well, it's blocked by the fuel cap, and it kind of hangs over there. Big power horse Parmalat for Pedro Diniz or whoever. No, for Ricardo Tossa was the other one. Was there in '96. Lycra. Track and field. Yeah, a bunch of random tiny things. It's very cluttered. Who do I prefer, Lola or Footwork? I guess Footwork, because Lola, well, they did a few early 90s liveries and then some stuff in the 60s. But Footwork's cars were just pretty ugly. They were better when they were arrows. This does not work for me. It doesn't land. There's too much going on. I think it's a C. Pre-season BAR. So this is BAR's winter testing livery from 1999 because that's Villeneuve behind the wheel. Looks kind of cool, I guess. I mean, they sort of resurrected this in 2004 Shanghai when they did the that 555 sponsor. Again, that's gambling, I think. And they had that, and they did this before, and it's kind of interesting and swish. Maybe it does look a bit like generic Formula One car. F1 My Team livery from the games, maybe. The blue looks great. The purple is gross. That's like a very, very faded purple. But it does look a bit cheap, I guess. Maybe it's just a B. Squishy again. Imagine Xbox sponsored Kick Sauber. Why not? Well, we need more. As I said before, we need more games console sponsoring teams. So why? Better than having fucking... I don't know which ones. Stake is the gambling one and Kick is the streaming one, isn't it? And then Kick is the one that was like they got in trouble because people were just streaming porn on it. And, Stake is gambling, so that's always going to be controversial. Yeah. Preseason BAR. Preseason BMW Williams. So, again, this is 1999. This is when Williams had already signed that deal with BMW to go through from 2000, so they were just testing a car with a BMW engine, and they came up with this livery, which you can see is obviously, it's inspired by a BMW Motorsport livery, but they've, inverted the colours. And it's sort of faded at the front. Jörg Müller, yes, he was a candidate to get the seat, I think, in 2000, or he was a test driver for them. And then there was that Ricardo Teixeira was the one who lost out in the shootout against Jenson Button. But yeah, this is again one of the one-off ones. It does look a bit funny. It looks like when they have the stripes like that, and AlphaTauri did that, it looks like a dead beached whale that's in bloat and is about to explode or something. That's how it ends up looking. Because they've inverted the colours. It should have been white with the navy stripes, because that would have looked like the classic BMW Motorsport liveries. So I think it may just go in... It's also because of the lack of sponsors, because it's just a testing livery. Then maybe it should just go in B. Bruno Junqueira, that's it, not Teixeira. Ricardo Teixeira, Bruno Junqueira. Ricardo Teixeira, okay... Is he? I think he was another test driver for somebody and never made it to F1, or he was in GP2. I think that's the one I'm thinking of. Right, doing it again. Why is it doing that? Where were we? Right, Prince Benetton, 1996. Yeah, there's a lot going on here. The mild 7 base, but then we got the big green all over with the prints all over the side pods and around the head, around there for some reason as well, around the cockpit protection, which is, as well as being really high, it juts inwards and just looks a bit awful. That looks a bit claustrophobic to me. And again, we've got these weird, the side pod wings joined on that everyone was obsessed with doing at that time. Yeah, I feel like compared to the other Benetton liveries, there's a bit too much going on here. I don't like the green. Hey, just so you know, the thumbnail to the live stream is glitched out for me. Is it the same for anyone else? Yeah, I saw that myself. I'll try and rectify that after the stream is done, because that's obviously not... Thumbnails are important when it comes to, engagement and click-through rate and everything. It's probably something on my side's gone funny with that. This is not one of the better Benetton liveries. Where did I put the play life? C. I think I'll just keep this in B. Squishy. Why does Lando keep fucking up? Some drivers are destined to boss the midfield and then just do nothing in a good car, and maybe Lando is one of those. That's what Checo was. That's what Gasly is. And yeah, maybe Lando's in that position, because it really shouldn't be this. He's making it very, very easy for Piastri at the moment, and it's like everyone likes that he's honest and upfront that you're not doing good enough, but it's like, but even acknowledging it and talking about it constantly doesn't seem to be working, whereas Oscar and Max are just knuckling down and getting the job done. So Repsol Arrows, 1999 when they did this halfway thing. This is before or after they took on Malik, was it? Mohammed Malik, something Malik, Nigerian prince guy, from T minus, Malik Ado Ibrahim. That's the name, Prince Malik Ado Ibrahim. Yeah, before that happened, but this car, not a good car. De La Rosa got 1 point in the first race. I'm not even sure who's driving, because that helmet is not De La Rosa, and that's not Takagi either. So I don't know I'm not sure who's driving there. Squishy, was it the same year they got scammed? Yeah, that was what it was. It was the Nigerian prince sponsored them, and then it turns out that he didn't have the money, or he just didn't pay them. He then fled to America, and then he got in trouble. He was like sponsoring some university student, and then ended up in prison, and then found his way back to Nigeria. And that really screwed them over, because they lost that. That was the downward spiral, and then 3 years later they collapsed. But this is a cool livery. Orange to black. Didn't Tom Coronel test for hours? Probably. He's that guy that follows everyone, isn't he? Because he's been following me for like 3 years when I had like 10 followers on X, and he's one of them. Probably, but I do like this. I think this is an A. I think it's a good one. Okay, Real Leighton House. So this is the more proper Leighton House look / March. The 80s was when it was like pure turquoise, but this time they've taken that green has gone from the top from BP, and now they've dropped it. But then it's just a shame, because the dark blue with the yellow does not fit well with the turquoise, which is a great shame. But then also whoever's helmet that is not matching very well either. That Dostos livery pissed me off. CA, not very fond. Is this the Leighton House which randomly nearly won a race? It might be. That was 1991 at Manicourt. And they were going to win and then didn't. 1990, okay. Yeah, because March entered 1990. They brought back the name March for 1993. They were planning to race in 1994, and then the money ran out, and But this one, it's ruined the Real, but also that Dostos is not working, so that's kind of killed it a bit. So I think it goes in C. Riello Benetton. So this is more of a classic Benetton look. I'm looking at this like either that's the most HD picture ever, or this is a screenshot from a game. So this is the Benetton B189, the B189B that they used for like the first 2 races of 1990. So that was a kind of hangover, I think. And this one they still had. It was principally green, the United Colours of Benetton. We've got Autopolis Riello. This is before they took on Camel Cigarettes, and then Mild 7 and Oracle. PK Moreno and Nannini. Yep, 1990. Yeah. Again, we got these struts holding the rear wing on. But it's kind of a mess, but also good because it's just really bold. It's like a palette, like a painter's wooden palette thing with all the colours on before he started painting. It's possible to make this livery on one of the open wheel cars in GTA Online. Fair enough. I have GTA 5, but haven't played it much, even though there's, they're doing what they can to get as much recyclability out of it until they eventually release GTA 6. So, Riello, it's good, but kind of messy at the same time. But people are saying Pedro PK, Nelson PK driving. Oh, Pedro PK. Oh, I see what you mean, because he has a modern picture. Maybe it is actually, yeah, because there's the Brazilian spider helmet. It could well be driving his dad's. That says, yeah, maybe that is a PK in the car. Everyone's saying A. Yeah, I guess I could throw it in A. That's the wrong thing. A. Right, Rothman's Williams, yeah. Like, perfect. This is perfect cigarette sponsor, really lands. Villeneuve's helmet matches perfectly as well. They're just, the gold, red, lovely touch. Just perfect. So throw that in S. Sabiem Minardi. So this livery they kind of carried over for a few years, late 80s, early 90s, when they had this blue, white, and then yellow thing going on. Yeah, I think because for a little bit, this is like an iconic early Minardi livery. It's good, I guess. Black is very common, very popular around early 90s, a lot of teams. One person's a couple of S's, unless that was about the Williams. A+. I don't think this one is quite an S. I think I could put this in A, though. Another Jordan. Sasol Jordan. This I'm pretty certain this is 1993. When they had to take on the Yamaha engines after having Ford, they switched from and the engine didn't fit. But again, this one, it looks like the Barclay logo just looks really old because it's like brown and that. But yeah, we got the blue. There's not quite as much going on as with the later cars, but there's a lot of the blue, turquoise, and white all happening all at once. The 192. So 92, not 93. Yeah, the 92 car, the second one, that was absolutely awful. Driving, because Thierry Boutsen did some. That's not his helmet though. Did some stuff with it. Then retired off, or he quit, or the other one. Italian guy did like 2 races with them and then quit. He did a couple of races with Ferrari. Not Naspetti. Not Larini. Laura. Whatever. Random Italian man, just insert Italian driver here, drove for them and then retired after 2 races. But the other ones, where did the other Jordans go? They went in B. This can go in B as well. Ivan Capelli, thank you. That's the one. De Cesaris, I think he did. I think De Cesaris, he probably drove for Jordan at some point because he drove bloody everybody. Right, SCM Minardi. So this is another variant on the previously seen one. So they've moved the black back and put yellow on the front. So this again another fairly iconic Minardi livery. With that engine cover, I'm guessing that's 90 or 91. M190, yeah, thought so. Yeah, De Cesaris, yes, he was in the 191. Of course, that's the Jordan he did. B, works well with the airbox shape. Yeah, it does. Stripes, like done like this, like uniform ones, are often good ones. A lot of yellow going on. B, yeah, a couple of Bs. Where did I put the other one? I put that one A. This one isn't quite as good. I think I'll put it as a high B. Right, I've called this one Serial Killer Venturi because this is the Venturi that was taken over by Rainer Waldorf of Comstock Development, real name Klaus Volz. He claims that Comstock Development sells exotic cars when what they actually do is steal them and sell them on the black market. He was wanted by Interpol for murders in 3 countries, including locking somebody in the back of a car and setting the car on fire. The police turn up at his house in the French Riviera. He gets a grenade out of the chest of drawers out of the desk, holds a policeman hostage, takes him outside up to his contact in a car, who escapes with him. 9 months later, he's tracked down to a hotel in Munich and then shoots himself. Yeah. The thing is, I would have made a video on this by now if it was, friendly to the algorithm or to the YouTube rules, but also if I could find a single photograph of this guy, because I've only got one source that any of this happened, and the immediate thing that keeps coming up is the fact that Bertrand Gachot gets interviewed constantly, wanting to ask him about the Jordan and about him going to prison and about Michael. No one's ever thought, okay, so what, the year after that, you joined a team that was run by a serial killer? Was that true? Like, why has no one asked him that? Or even Katayama was the other driver. And I get that he lives in Japan and doesn't do media appearances much, but, like, no, someone needs to ask him, like, is that real? Because I could believe it was real with everything else that went on in the early 90s, but, like, I need to know if that's true, because that takes the cake in terms of, like, F1 team owners and stories. I left the live while I was cleaning the house and started hearing things about setting cars on fire and grenades. Yeah, Google Rainer Waldorf / Klaus Volz, and that'll give you what I'm talking about. Yeah, this is. But also, if this was true and if there was lots of information, fucking Daily Fuel Up probably would have done like a 40-minute video on it by now. But yeah. But even so, serial killer aside, the livery is kind of good. It's a lot happening, but like, yeah, it seems to work at the same time. But we have a C. There's a B. Another B. Yeah. Maybe not quite an A. It's kind of messy but works well. B. Shannon 40. So, 1996, 40. They used the F195 for a few races. They then switched over to this car, and they had this sponsor, I think Irish sponsor called Shannon, who, guess what, didn't pay a dime to them, and then they ran out of money. And so that meant that they went from that garish yellow and blue to white, green, and red with a very, very high nose. And what sponsors? A lot of sponsors. I mean, yes, Shannon is the main one, but we got Rossez, however you say that, Parmalat again, Antera, Bettina, Aaron, Finfirst, Replay, By Deborah, Rossi, Kaiser, just Beta, come on, just random crap from the 90s, and yeah. Scam sponsors, yeah. But to be honest, it's good. That's a good green. It is, because again, it's called Shannon. I mean, it's very like Team Ireland. It's like they're trying to beat Jordan at that, even though this is not an Irish team. It feels like if, yeah, Team Ireland and A1GP would have had a car like this. It gives me Prema vibes. There's way too much green for this to be Prema. If that green was red, it might look like a Prema. Very Christmas. Yeah, it is like a Christmas tree. It's a Christmas livery, but I like it. I think it's often, a lot of it is quite good. And it's one of the ones that's a bit less well known because they only had this for a few races. And 40 was like the last hurrah of the like crap teams that had no money and everything went wrong, because by 1997 we had a much more condensed grid and they weren't changing drivers out constantly, and the pre-qualifying wasn't necessary anymore. I think I'll give that an A. Right, how many have we got to go? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 24, 27, 31 liveries to go. God. Right. Shadow 40, let's go. Siamese BAR. So yeah, BAR's first official car. Everyone knows the story that they wanted to run 2 separate liveries on both cars, and there's the launch picture of them doing that. They were told they weren't allowed to do that, so they were like, okay, well, we're just going to zip them up and put them together. So we end up with this really bizarre looking 2-tone car, with a zipper on. As well as that, they've got the silver nose cone, and like the left-hand one looks better from the side because it's like a night sky star thing because of 555, and then Lucky's must be a reference to Lucky Strike that was there. We can see the circle there for Lucky Strike, the tobacco that they had after this. Which, to be fair, that looked amazing on the later cars when they had Honda engines, because it was like Team Honda and we've got this Japanese flag logo. But it is very messy. D, C in the bin, the DME. As a Quebecois, that's an S. Well, of course, Villeneuve, yeah. Hello, Ernesto. We're at the tail end of the stream, but still got a few liveries to go. So iconic. It's iconic for the wrong reasons, because I think it would have been cool if they had just had 2 separate liveries for their drivers. Because again, the only reference I can think of is TOCA. If anyone played TOCA Touring Car Championship, so that's not the first, that's the original one, about 1996, 97. The sequel was TOCA 2 Touring Cars, which is the best game ever. TOCA Touring Car Championship, the Vauxhalls, it was Derek Warwick and John Cleland. John Cleland's Vauxhall was red and Derek Warwick's was white in the game, so they were allowed to have 2 separate ones, and I don't know why, but yeah, I remember that always happening. Some people love this and some people hate it. Maybe I'll just go C, I think. Silver Eurobrune. So this is, again, when they were barely clinging to life, early 90s. Roberto Moreno again, driving for everybody. Silver with some green from Mara office chairs, LPR hydraulic brakes, IFIP, Lindus, Carvico, Jessica, just random shit. But to be honest, it looks like, it's basically a 1980s Formula 1 car, this one. Orange for the number, the driver number is interesting. It could look worse. Looks like an iRacing Formula 4 livery. Mercedes from Wish. This livery is depressing to look at. Yeah, it's depressing. It's also because it's like, this is a team that they just made it into the 90s and then just fell off at that point, and yeah. But it's okay. Maybe it's a B. Silver Pacific, 1994. So Ursus, although apparently now it's Ursus, I was told it was Romanian. This is Ursus of Iceland, which makes more sense that Iceland would start naming themselves after bears than Romania. Yeah, the Pacific, because the original Pacific company that did like Formula 3000 and stuff, they got the pink going in the blue little leafy shaped things. I think that's Gasho driving with the purple helmet. Pink numbers, lots of silver, really cheap knockoff Benetton. Whenever I see this, I think of Aquafresh toothpaste, but it's got the colours. The silver, the turquoise, the pink, it's all toothpaste colours. D. I thought that was the Romanian beer brand Ursus. Well, I was told earlier that's what it was, but this, because it says Ursus of Iceland, someone else said it was, one of them was vodka, and maybe that's what that Icelandic vodka something. But that's a really random company to sponsor Pacific. But yeah, D, C, D. It's not terrible, I guess. It's just cheap, but I guess a C. Weird team, yeah. Okay, Snake Jordan. This is 1997. So we have we have the snake. I mean, God, the fangs on the struts. I mean, hello, snake with the scales. There's a sort of scaly carbon fiber thing going on the side pods. The red, I don't know, on the top, but yeah, it's a bright yellow. But it's not quite the Benson and Hedges one, but it has the snake on the front. Ralph and Manicore. How do you know that's Manicore? Like, I can't recognize a corner, especially a 30-year-old circuit from that. Yeah, Bitten and Hisses. Yeah, it's still an S, but it's not quite the Benson and Hedges one. Striped Gitane Ligier. So this, again, the same basic blue, but they put this big stripe down the side of white. And this are the red from Elf. Don't know the year. But it's kind of good, but it looks like one of those big, like, circus tent things that you have. Like the top of that stretched with the stripes. This, I know already, that's Interlagos. That's around Junsor, I think. Magulio. It's okay. The other Ligier blue liveries were all in B. So maybe this goes in B as well. Subaru Coloni, couldn't think of another name, so they've gone, Italian colours. When they had that big fat flat 12 Subaru engine, Gertrude Gastro drove this car. He said it was amazing because it was like an overpowered go-kart. I mean, terrible to drive, but also so much fun because it was just an overpowered go-kart that would spin in a straight line because the very, very heavy, very wide engine meant it had a very loose rear end. But then they took this car after this, they got rid of the Subaru. They put like a normal Judd engine, but didn't change the engine cover. And guess what? That didn't work either. But because it's a flat 12, it had these really, I think, again, at the time they weren't allowed the overhead air intakes. There's the roll hoop, but then it's got these two very tall air intakes on the side pods. But as a livery goes, I guess fairly harmless. Obviously, Italian flag inspired. Hello, the Almin. Thank you for joining. This looks more like a mid to late 80s car than a 90s. Yeah, it does. It's because of the very flat engine cover that it looks like mid 1980s. McLaren from Wish. Where would this go? It's okay. Maybe B. Techno Test Footwork. That I'm pretty certain is Christian Fittipaldi's helmet. I think this might be then 1994. But this, I guess, is cool. This sort of digital camouflage type thing with the squares. The same blue that we've seen before with mostly white, red, little bit of green. Tetris livery. Ooh, shell suit, yeah. We've got an A. Yeah, it's just a bit messy, I guess. S, that's a banger. Okay. A couple people like it. Yeah. Too much B, too much white. Tetris. The Ford logo, even though it's tiny, it's always a nice touch. It's a good logo, and it's like, yay, Ford engines. If I zoom in and out, trying to look at different angles. I guess it could be worse. This would look very interesting on a modern Formula One car. Minecraft livery, yeah. It's almost Bauhaus. Maybe I'll be generous and put it in A. It looks like... Oh, I know what it looks like. Again, British people will know this. The show Come Outside. It looks like the plane in that she flies. What's her face? The woman with the dog Pippin. Okay, you'll know that if you're my age. Zoomers won't know what Come Outside is, but millennials will know that show. Yeah, amazing show. Right, Telefonica Minardi, 1999. So, yep, silver, blue, the horrible shade of fluorescent yellowy green for the Telefonica. But yeah, no, Mark Genet and Luca Badoa, yep. Almost, nearly gets fourth in Nürburgring. Genet gets sixth, they get a point, yay. Still stuck at the back. But this is kind of messy because it's very similar to the previous year, but just worse. The Telefonica has not helped it. That sort of horrible shade of green. And it looks, I don't know, it's so 90s in the sense that they're covered in so many sponsors, but still have no money. I mean, we've got Telefonica, Fond Metal, Ford Millpass, Cimatron, Psycho, Brembo, Doimo, Fraser, Office Furniture, Biofox, Roses, Magneti Morelli, Bossy. That is a ton of sponsors. But it's not. It doesn't work as well as the M198, which I put in A. So this might go in just B. Testing Honda. So this one is a bit of an exception to the rule because this car never raced in Formula One. This is when Honda were considering returning to Formula One as a full team. They built a car to test. They got Jos Verstappen to test it because, of course, they got Jos Verstappen to test it. And Harvey Postlethwaite was the one behind the team, and then he died unexpectedly while the project was going on, and so they just stopped. And then until they and then decided to join as an engine supplier to BAR instead. So yeah, but otherwise it's a testing car. It's white with some black. Not much to say. I mean, I would say that Jos's helmet adds a bit of zazz because he had that like the maroon dark red thing on his. Yeah, but yeah, it's white. Can't really say much else about it. But it's an okay kind of white, so B, I suppose. Testing LaRousse. This, I think, 1994 pre-season testing livery. It looks like a Lotus colours, really, because it's green and yellow. The stripes are fine until they decided to add this massive thing trailing off of the engine, the fuel cap. But yeah, the picture is awful. Yeah, it's okay, it's all right, but it's just a bland testing livery at the end of the day. So there's not a huge amount happening there. Maybe just go B, I think. Aston Martin. Yeah, it is like Aston Martin actually. It's the British Racing green, even though LaRousse was a French team, they decided to be green instead of blue. Testing Ligier. 1995, I think. Ligier, all white, just like the Honda. Oh wait, I think that's actually no. I think that's Prost driving. I thought it was Michael. No, that Alain Prost did a test with Ligier. I don't know if it was because he was planning to come back with them because he tested with someone in 93, 94, but I don't think he was considering a comeback. And then he did. I think he tested with Ligier a few times just to help them out. But yeah, this is functionally no different from the Honda livery we just saw. It's just white with some black. Or gold rims, but still. So that goes there. Verstappen with his footwork helmet. Is that Verstappen? I thought it was Prost. Okay, but yeah. Okay, testing McLaren. So this is the one that was mentioned much earlier. This is 1993 when they decided to test out a Lamborghini V12, even though they'd already committed to running a Peugeot engine for 1994. They tested this. Hakkinen and Senna thought it was pretty good, and they thought, well, if we use this, we could be really competitive. But by that point, they'd already committed to Peugeot engines, and Senna had already signed for McLaren, so it wasn't to be. The McLambo, and so they just tested it in this all-white configuration. And yeah, it's white. So hard to say, but I guess it could be worse for just white. So it's the same. It goes in B. The other ones. Thumbnail, ignore that. So, okay, so for those of you who can't see, that is the thumbnail. I will check after the stream to make sure it's actually showing up properly for anyone who wants to watch after the stream's done, but yeah. Right, Tissot Sauber. 1994, I think. They took the black, they got the Tissot sponsorship. This sort of mottled, spotted thing is quite cool, I think. I like that. The black, I think it is black, although it looks like the darkest of greens in this lighting. But no, this saves it. I like this like bulleted punch a hole thing. That's cool. I hate the patch of red. Yeah, the patch of red dots is kind of annoying. So swish. Looks like the 2021 Mercedes. I guess it does. They didn't have so many spots. But yeah, pretty good. Tissot got Sonak's car care products, Castrol, that'll be the oil and fuel. Henkel Trocken, don't know what that is. Something Society, Harvard companies, even Mercedes, Goodyear, Brembo, blah, 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 Magneti Marelli. Okay, so I know, Goodyear's tyres, Brembo is brakes or brake pads. What is Magneti Marelli? Because I see that everywhere. What do they make? Do people know? Hi, Peter. Hi, Matthew. Thank you for joining. Because, Magneti Marelli, I don't know if maybe the Brembo were the brake discs and Magneti make the brake pads, something like that. Could be what it is. But this is a good livery. I think it's an A. Ignition components, I think. Engine electronics, right? Okay, like ECU and starter motors. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Next one, Tommy Hilfiger Lotus. So another Lotus change right near the end. Castrol, Loctite. I mean, those are the sponsors you want to have on a racing car. They always look good. Nichibitsu. This is good. Again, it's a hodgepodge, but a really, really good hodgepodge. Who's that driving? Italian can't read that. Pepe Jeans, Shinogi, Hitachi. It's all It's a good hodgepodge, I think. Last or pre-last. I think this is one of the 107s. It's Zanardi, okay. A Zanardi. Yeah, so this must be the car that he crashed in at Spa and hurt himself. It's a shame that poor Lotus is barely holding on. Yeah, if you think that this is a team which has given more to Formula One than any other team in terms of like engineering and technological breakthroughs, and they ended like this, and then there's been two more Lotuses afterwards, neither of which are actually Lotus. Maybe there should be an attempt from Lotus Cars, the company, to actually resurrect actual real Lotus of Colin Chapman and try again. I don't know. We need more manufacturers in Formula One. But yeah, I like this. This is working. I think it's an A. Toshiba Lola. So this is the Lola LC190, which Aguri Suzuki took to the podium in Suzuka. That's him driving it at Suzuka like only a few years ago. I think maybe 2020 or something. So this car, so it's a LaRousse, but it was built by Lola. But we're seeing, the BP, red, yellow, navy blue, and a lot of sponsors. It's iconic, but also sort of in how it looks. It's like all the primary colours just thrown in together. It doesn't look competitive. Like it does look like a My Team livery. I actually got a Tamiya model of this car, one of the very first model kits I made. I'm assuming of the Lotus. Yeah, I need to get more model cars to build, I think, of classic F1 cars. Found 5 races of Williams liveries. Last year, yeah, they did something, didn't they? I've forgotten what that was. Some different sponsor. I might just put it in C. I think it's just ugh. Yeah. Okay, Tourtel Larousse. This is a good livery. I like this. That is a very, very shiny green. The green blue again. It looks like a Lotus livery, but this is the 94 car right near the end. That's Philippe Alliot driving again. Just insert French driver here. But again, they're barely clinging on. But look at the amount of sponsors they've got. Like everything. Like yeah, Rizzler, Speedy, Zanussi, L Ford, Tourtel, Gaulois. I forgot how to say it. Gaulois, Blonde. Somatic, AT&T, Rizzler, Adidas, Brembo, I can't read those. Yeah, everything. Eurosport, just everyone is sponsoring them and they still can't survive. But yeah, this is absolutely gorgeous. The rear wing is a bit the rear wing is a bit out of place. That's obviously, I think that's a hangover from when they had the Kronenborg livery. Yeah, this is a team that's been often largely forgotten. I think they're the one that the team founder or the co-founder killed his wife and went to prison for a few years, or was that the other one? Maybe that was the Venturi or Fondmetal. One of them. There were lots of murders happening in Formula One around this time. Interesting time. Yeah, F1 Twitter would not be able to handle it. I don't. Yeah. It works. I think I might throw this in. I'm tempted to throw this in S. It just really, really lands. For me, it's just so shiny. Okay, then turquoise Lucchini Minardi. So this again, it's 93 or 94, and they had this turquoise color scheme for a bit, alongside, as we've seen before, the orange for Beta, big black rear wing with a gip, another shade of blue, some red, black. Yeah, it's not bad. I mean, it's there's nothing there. There should be a sponsor on the engine cover, really, on that strip of turquoise. The M193B. Yeah, so this was used the first 4 or 5 races of 1994. And I think this is the car that scored more points because they finished 4th twice. I think it scored more points than any other, or it was the only Minardi to get into the double digits in terms of points. There was also the weird guy who says Porsche on fire. That was Jean-Claude Van Rossum, boss of Onyx. Yeah, took over from Peter Monteverdi, who himself raced in Formula One in the 1950s. This is okay, though. The other Minardi that it's similar to is in B. This is an improvement on that, but people are saying there's an A, a B or C, beautiful A, C plus C. I could just lean that into A, a low A, I think. Turquoise Red Bull Sauber, 1996. They'd taken on Red Bull, but they had more of a turquoise thing as opposed to before. It was like the gunmetal, the darker blue, and the stripes on this, and the wheels, the very sporty wheel rims. But this is good. It's obviously very, very similar to the other Petronas livery. So that can be in A. How much left to go? Oh, another footwork livery, Unimat footwork. So this is similar to the one we saw before, the like Minecraft livery that I said looked like it came out of the plane from Come Outside. So yeah, bit of blue, lot of white, blocky red. Looks like a Christmas cracker. This one is a bit worse than the 95 one. A, we've got Mana 2016. The other one, where did I put the other one? I put the other one in A. This one is a bit worse. B. Maybe this one goes in B. I love this livery a lot. At A tier, in my opinion. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's not... Something just doesn't quite work for me. Okay, United Colours of Benetton. This is 92 and 93 when they had this mostly green Camel cigarettes. Yeah, they didn't need much else. And this was when they were making that transition to like automatic transmission and traction control and yeah, everything else, and kind of catching up. So the 92 car was that was Schumacher and Brundle, and then 93 was Schumacher and Patrese. But yeah, this is again, it's one of their another well-known. So the other Benetton liveries I had, the Camel one from the year before was in A, and then I put the Oracle one in S from 1994. 1995 I put in A. What kind of kills this a bit is the black wheels. If they'd done something else with the wheels, because that just makes it look like slower. It's like it's wearing like black like school shoes. So I think it's an A. Okay, USF and G arrows. So this was 1990. This car, I think, was a B spec from the 89, and they carried it over to 90. This is just before they became footwork. And they had the white with this like asymmetrical maroon color with the little blue stripe. USF and G asset management. Okay, that's Derek Warwick's car as well. What the hell is that front wing? Yeah, that's what I mean. It's asymmetrical. Kepner Trego. Like, what is that? Those aren't words. You can't really see it, actually. I need to move it for the chat. Yeah, Kepner Trego. Like, what is that? Camozzi, yeah. Now, because of the colour, because of that maroon, this looks like an 80s livery, and this is the one they had for a few years before. Haas before Haas. It's kind of good, I guess. To the shadow realm of thee. Okay, so he really doesn't... It really doesn't like it. It could be worth it. It just looks old. Like, you can tell it's a hangover from the 80s. Peter, is there a way I could contact you after the stream? I think our respective knowledge of F1 history could blend with well together. We could do something great together thing. Yeah, okay, so you can... my email address is on my channel, but otherwise you can send me a DM either on Discord or Instagram. Would do it. Right. This could be worse. Maybe just B. Right, only a few more to go. Valverde Menardi. So this is 1995 because there's no side protection. That is Lavaggi. Was he there 95? It's an Italian driving it, unless it's actually Zanardi, because not Zanardi, the other one, Martini. Yes, Martini, because I think he did a bit with them in 95. Or Badoa, one of those. So many Italians. But yeah, okay. So we've got this very shiny, very dark blue. Green slot, green bits, bit lesser green in the other one, lots of white. Doimo, a Gip, nice touch, a Gip black rear wing. I like the front. That's a very nice shade of blue. It becomes a bit messy again. S tier, C. C plus. Lavaggi, well, yeah, 96. I think 95, Martini was there. Badoa was there. They also had Pedro Lamy, I think, as well. I think, wasn't it Pedro Lamy had that crash that nearly killed him in testing at Silverstone, and then they brought in Martini, and then he finally retired. Something like that. But this is not bad. It's very, very similar to the 96 livery, and that is... somewhere. That's in C. I think this is an improvement on that, so this might just break into B. Martini retired mid-season. Right, okay. Again, it gets confusing. Veltin's Williams. This is the 1999 car. So they'd had... They had Mechachrome engines in 1998, which were just rebadged Renaults from the year before. 99, was it Playlife? They changed engines again before they became BMW. Unless they did stick with Mechachrome, but yeah, there's a lot. I mean, this is a great image, which helps, but there's a lot going on here. We got the red. There's a little bit of the orange, so for like flames, like go faster type things. But then the blue, the like painted blue at the back, is like that's not really necessary. I don't think. I've just noticed Woody Woodpecker at the front. The kangaroo logo. Don't know what that's got to do anything. Super Tech, yes. Yeah, just another rebadged Renault engine, but just Super Tech instead of Mechachrome. The Woody Woodpecker Williams, yeah. Yeah, aside from the blue, this is good. I like the flame kind of faded speed thing. That's quite cool. But it's a shame because this is existing in the shadow of the Rothmans and Canon liveries, and then before the BMW like HP Invent liveries as well. I think I'll put it in A though. I think I like that. Okay, West McLaren. Now we've got a 90s livery. Yeah, we all love West. I mean, it's just that having the names on the side was just the perfect touch. Just saying David and Mika. Just yeah, and it always looks good no matter the photo. Really nice touch. Everything is just lands exactly as it should. And the cars, because these cars, the MP4, the 13 to the 17, it was the same basic concept and they look quite blocky, but then the 2005 car looks absolutely amazing because they've really they've updated the aero and it's really sleek lines and very aggressive, and had the like bull horns on the engine cover. Yeah, everyone loves a West McLaren, and it's just that association with Mika Hakkinen that I think draws everyone in. Winfield Australian Tobacco, yeah, that sounds about right. I knew Winfield Cigarettes be Australian then. Okay, white and blue, another bloody Brabham. Okay, early 90s Brabham, navy blue, white, and this pink, like, Japanese writing on there, which is complete mismatch. That is a very interesting helmet. Again, don't ask me who's driving. Yeah, well, that's what we've seen, about 10,000 navy blue Brabhams already. And I've got them in. There's one there. B. This one's not good. Yeah, can't make that out from that. Van der Poel. It could be Van der Poel. Although he was there at 92. This looks like 1990. I don't know the helmet. Does anyone? Blundell, Dave. I wasn't sure if that was David Brabham's helmet. So yeah, it's not. No, Gary. It's not Gary Brabham. He only drove for Life. Yeah. C. Oh, it's the wrong way around again here. Okay. Next one, white AGS. So another AGS from the early 90s, and they went for white with a blue thing. I think we saw a white AGS before, but this one is blue stripes, white. Seems okay. And then you've got this orange MTA, Stefan Johansson driving there. I love the helmet, the leaves, that's cool. 4A Electrolux, Sistema Naturali, MTA Facom Scholl. Yeah. I think if it was just white, it would look better, but I'm not sure the stripes are working. Peter, what was worse, Life or Lola? Well, Life was like that Lola car didn't qualify, but it was faster and it was better built, even though it was like asymmetrical and it actually looked like a Formula One car. The Life didn't work and was really, really far off the pace. Even though it's not pound for pound the slowest car ever, the Life is a candidate for being the worst car in Formula One history because of how uncompetitive it was relative to its competitors, even though it still would have been faster probably than like a 1950s Formula One car. Or that one made by Arzani Volpini that had 80 horsepower. that was entered for a race in the early 1950s. Yeah, this is not such a big one. 7-minute quali lap. That obviously wasn't a hot lap. I must just coasting round. It's hard to say because the records are scarce from that time period on and footage and whatnot. Oh, this is not good though. Go see. White Fond Metal. So we've got, Fond Metal doing their thing, early 90s. White, orange, and then red on the 2 stripes. I don't know who thought that was a good idea. Black rear wing. We've got Serena, Spal, Fond Metal, Arpo, Tardito, Roba. I feel like half these companies must be defunct now because I don't even know. Like I don't see them on modern cars or anything. When I Google live streams coming back, I don't know. I mean, I did those, and then after a few tries, I just got kind of bored of making random street circuits in cities. So I don't. Maybe I'll do one in the future, but the Google Earth live streams. I basically got bored of that after a couple of goes of it. I think I still have the circuits all saved or bookmarked. 'Cause what season are we doing right now? We're not going season by season, but this is about 1990, 1991, roughly. We're right near the end. White for, but this again, it's just white. It's the fact that it's the orange and then the red stripes alongside each other. I'm just not enjoying that. I think C. Okay, only 4 more cars to go. White Lotus. Okay, I think this is the 109. I think this could well be their very last car. Mostly white. We got the green and yellow of Lotus colours. Komatsu, Tommy Hilfiger's there. There's no Castrol or whatever. Oh, it's 1991. Okay, yeah. Looking at the nose, that's a very flat nose for a 94 car. But this is good because it's predominantly basically just using the Lotus colours without being like overly cluttered. The one that Hakkinen drove, it would be 1991, one of his first cars. I like the Tamiya because it's like that's a model kit company and it makes this look like a model car. But this is what I mean. This is a really classic look. It's like a sort of, if Formula One existed during the Second World War, this is like a livery you would have seen. Because it's in a museum here. It looks like it should belong in like a military museum instead of a motoring museum. It's just great classic Team Lotus colours, kind of vintage throwback. Very nice. I think it's an A. White Tyrrell. This is 1997. This is the one that had the X-Wings that got banned very quickly. Single keel nose, but otherwise it's just white with those PIAA black and some stripes. A bit of green from NRO. Morse is that on the rear wing. NRG. Yeah, but it's otherwise it's fairly harmless, but it's not very memorable. Is that European? Oh, European Aviation. Okay, they must have been sponsoring them. Paul Stoddart before taking over Minardi. Yeah, that's nice. Maybe just B because it's not bad, but it's not offensive to the eyes, but it doesn't stand out. 2 more. Winfield Williams. So that 1998. The Mechachrome engines. Basically, the car had hardly changed at all from the 97 car, aside from the narrower track and the groove tyres. But otherwise, I guess it's very Winfield livery. Just the red. It's such a cigarette-looking car, but quite classic. And the Kangaroo, yeah. Who was better, 2012 Alonso or 2024 Verstappen? Well, Verstappen still won the title, but then he did have the best car for the first 6 races. Alonso, like as good as he was in 2012, he got good when the car got good. Like when it was a midfielder, he wasn't competitive, and he had some real stinkers from himself that created some setbacks. But yeah, so I think Verstappen. Mechachrome before they started terrorizing F2. Yeah, Formula 2 it's such a shambles. I watch it, but I can't even remember who's driving there anymore. And it's like, as soon as someone spins, great, they've stalled. Now we need a safety car that we don't need to have, and that's fucked everything up because every race is a one-stop strategy. And so the safety car either happens before or after you've pitted, so you either get gifted a podium or don't. And again, everyone's complaining the engines are all different. They break down all the time. Some cars are obviously better than others, or there's ones where they know the chassis is broken for half the season and don't fix it. And then you win the title and don't even get a seat in Formula 1 at the end of it. Formula 2 needs to be... They need to really change some stuff up there because it's a complete mess. But anyway, this livery is nice. The Winfield Williams livery looks great. I don't care if people call it the worst, but it looks good to me. Yeah, it's great looking. Yeah, it's not quite as interesting. It's a bit as the following year, but it's functionally the same. So it goes an A. And then the very last one, Yellow Coloni. So again, early 90s when they're changing around constantly. And they break this car, which is just bright yellow and a bit of black. And yeah, just like it's like a cheap copy of the Jordan and the 40. But it's difficult to say what I do with that. I get F1 team, maybe. It does look like that it's, Team Agip or Agip, again, however you meant to say it. But that is just, all I think of is Ferrari when I hear that. 90s Ferrari, just Agip. This is just, there's nothing going on. It's not offensive, it's just bland. So I think might go and see. So, that's all of them. There probably are more I could find, but I tried to look for testing and one-off liveries, but there are not that many from this time period. I won't go through each of these, but I'll just highlight. We only put 3 of them in D. There was a Fond Metal, a Coloni, and another Fond Metal. But the D tier, the S tier ones that everyone loves. 7-Up Jordan, Agip Ferrari, Benson Hedges Jordan, Cannon Williams, Fiat Ferrari, PlayStation or Gaulois Prost, HSBC Stewart, Marlboro Ferrari, Marlboro McLaren, MTV Simtech, Oracle Benetton, Papaya McLaren, PlayStation Peugeot Rothmans Williams, Snake Jordan, the Green Tortel LaRousse and West McLaren. Those are the good ones. Let's switch this over. Is that going to switch? Ooh, it does switch. Good. Right, now I can look at the stream data. How many people? 80. Right, concurrent. 85. Okay, so still a good number of people. Yeah, I'll go in a few minutes because I'm pretty tired now. But yeah. Well done, Peter. One more question. Who was? I can't see that, but I'm guessing. Who was better, 2016 Rosberg or 2021 Verstappen? Well, 2021 Verstappen won a lot more races than Nico, and he seemed to have a lot more obstacles to deal with in terms of tyre blowouts and accidents that weren't his fault and stewarding decisions not going his way than Rosberg did. Whereas Rosberg, it was kind of a psychological thing because he came out of the blocks so strongly. Then mid-season, Hamilton got the momentum and closed in. And then he had that engine failure. But then at the same time, Rosberg came back very strongly after the summer break. But I think Verstappen, there was a bit more wheel-to-wheel with Lewis and Verstappen in 21 than 2016. Yeah. And is Mercedes better than Ferrari in the last 5 years? Well, the last 5 years includes 2020 and 2021, so in that case you would say Mercedes are obviously better, because they were those 2 years, they're better at the moment. for the preceding 3 years, Ferrari had the better car, but Mercedes are just a bit. They've just sorted themselves out a bit more. And they're more their strategies are far better. They're a lot more confident at that. As Lewis is currently learning, as he's going through the same trials and tribulations and pitfalls that Vettel and Leclerc and Alonso and everyone else has had to go through at Ferrari. Yeah, I think I'll end it there. But anyway, yeah, good stream. Good to go through those liveries, trip down memory lane. Thank you to those that tuned in. Thank you to Squishy for lots of donations. I think there may have been a couple of other people as well. Thank you for those too. So yeah, I don't know when my next stream will be. I'm hoping it won't be that long, maybe a few months before we hit 60,000 subs. But yeah, my big target. We'll see with the next video. I'm going to put out some shorts soon, but the next big video may still only be for a couple of weeks. I have to really knuckle down with those, or pray for a red flag in Miami, and you'll see why afterwards. But yeah, thank you all. I'll go now and see you around.